The dead of night. A full moon illuminates the majestic castle, but at the palace's base, thick gray smoke rises, obscuring everything. Down the dark stone stairs leading deep underground, iron chains clank harshly. A single flickering torch lights the dungeon entrance. Heart-wrenching screams echo from behind the iron door. Puddles of fresh blood seep across the stone floor, signaling a horrifying torture session inside. Ryan Sermon gasps for air. Blood streams down from his forehead, soaking his lips. He is exhausted, every breath laced with the salty taste of blood and sweat. Chained tightly, Ryan's bare back is a canvas of bleeding, crisscrossed wounds. Right in front of him, a glowing brazier heats iron rods, prepping for the next round of torture. Sans Parton grabs Ryan by the hair and yanks his head up, a twisted smile plastered on his face. He mocks how the Sermon bloodline is blessed with innate talent, yet looking at Ryan now, he is nothing but a cripple. The glowing red iron rod presses close to Ryan's face. The radiating heat thickens the surrounding air. He can only glare at his tormentor with eyes full of hatred. Sans grows more excited at that hopeless resistance. His bloodshot eyes gleam with depravity as he savors his praise screams. The searing iron branding rod plunges straight into his chest. Sizzling flesh echoes gruesomely. White smoke and the stench of burnt meat engulf the dark room. Ryan throws his head back, screaming in agonizing pain. Blood spews from his mouth with every violent cough. The pain threatens to rip his chest in half. Sans leans close to Ryan's ear, whispering that he was born cursed, devoid of any talent. He wonders aloud how a worthless piece of trash like him clung to life for so long. Ryan slumps at Sans's feet, his mouth faintly begging for something. Sans pauses, narrowing his eyes in curiosity at the dying boy's feeble plea. Ryan's gaze shatters, tears mingling with trails of blood. He begs for only one thing: kill him right now and end this nightmare. Sans bursts into manic laughter, tilting his head and asking if he should cut out Ryan's tongue next. He ignores the plea, treating it like a cheap parlor trick. Sans turns and walks away, declaring he is bored of this little game. He had hoped to extract something from the Sermon bloodline, but Ryan disappointed him. Stopping at the iron door, Sans reminds Ryan he is not allowed to die today. He still has plenty of torture methods planned for the coming days. Sans's eyes glint sharply. He reiterates that today marks the 3-year anniversary of the day he personally annihilated the illustrious Sermon family. Every word pierces Ryan's pride like a dagger. Ryan collapses onto the floor, his head hitting his own pool of blood. His body hangs suspended by lifeless chains, looking utterly pathetic and isolated. From the dungeon window, the bright moonlight pours in, mocking Ryan's fate. It is the last sliver of light he will see before losing consciousness. The entire dungeon sinks into dead silence, leaving only Ryan's small silhouette lying desolate amidst the mangled flesh and blood. The Grim Reaper seems to hover around, waiting for the moment he takes his last breath. In his delirium, Ryan wonders if 3 years have truly passed since that tragic day. Painful memories flood back like a slow-motion film. The Sermon family once stood as the premier noble house of the Drea continent, their flag bearing the majestic Great Tree. Their knights in pristine white armor were the pride of an entire empire. In the place known as the Dark Zone, ferocious monsters continuously swarmed out, devastating everything. They were the terror of anyone stepping foot in the borderlands. House Sermon was the most formidable fortress, always pioneering the front lines to protect the continent. They sacrificed countless lives to secure peace for the people. Bloody battles waged endlessly, where cold steel clashed with monstrous fangs. Among the 5 great families, Sermon was always the most renowned and powerful name. Knights hoisted the family flag atop mountains of monster corpses. House Sermon's power back then seemed invincible, an unshakable force. Yet everything collapsed rapidly when Ryan's father and brothers vanished without a trace. The Great Tree flag blazed fiercely, marking the end of a golden era. The family plummeted into unchecked decline, opening the door for lurking enemies. House Parton, another great noble family, seized this once-in-a-millennium opportunity to strike. Sans Parton emerged like a phantom, flashing a victorious smile at his rival's downfall. He meticulously prepared to devour everything left of House Sermon. The entire Sermon estate drowned in a sea of fire, trampled ruthlessly beneath enemy boots. Years of hard-earned glory vanished into thin air. What those bastards craved was the divine dragon's blessing, passed down through generations. A colossal power hidden within the veins of the Sermon direct descendants. The dragon's bloodline is a treasure anyone would kill to possess. The heirs of this blood are meant to be the world's most outstanding geniuses. Normally, a Sermon descendant reaches the realm of a 7th Circle Great Mage by the age of 10. A talent that forces the entire continent to bow in respect. By age 15, They become true swordmasters with world-shattering strength. That is the radiant future rightfully belonging to those bearing the sermon name. Ironically, Ryan was not among them. He was the sole exception, a stain on his family's heroic history. From the moment of his birth, Ryan bore the curse of the demon king Arkan. A gloomy shadow constantly haunted him, stifling the boy's growth potential. This twisted curse surfaces once every few centuries, and unfortunately it chose Ryan. He was stripped of every chance to become a warrior or mage. Deep purple chains and demonic eyes constricted Ryan, isolating him from the world of geniuses. He could only watch his family fall, powerless to act. Because of that curse, Ryan couldn't possess even a shred of mana or swordsmanship. He was defenseless against enemy attacks. Back in the present, Ryan torments himself in the dungeon. If only he wasn't cursed, he would have the power to protect his loved ones. Belated regret gnaws at his soul every day. With power, House Sermon wouldn't have been trampled so pitifully by House Parton. Bloody tears streamed down his scarred face, proving his ultimate agony. The image of Sans Parton with his disgusting smile and glowing iron rod haunts Ryan. He loathes the scum who caused him so much suffering, but right now, only helplessness remains. Ryan whispers a desperate denial. His eyes blur with blood and tears, lacking the strength to curse fate any longer. He turns his back to the darkness, where sewer rats start sniffing the stench of death. Ryan is too exhausted to regret anything at this moment. A giant rat with glowing phosphorescent eyes snarls, baring its fangs as if ready for a blood feast. Ryan feels death closing in. The rat swarm lunges, tearing into Ryan's mangled body. He knows for sure that today is the last time he will ever see the light. The final tears roll down Ryan's blood-stained face. He closes his eyes, surrendering his last ounce of survival instinct. Enveloped in darkness, Ryan thinks he might finally find peace. The surrounding snarls fade into the distance. A spectral entity resembling Demon King Arkan materializes, radiating a terrifying purple aura. This is the root cause of the curse that haunted his entire life. Another image of Ryan, strong and majestic, flashes in his mind. He stands atop a slain monster, his sword still dripping with blood. The adult Ryan's sharp gaze stares straight ahead. Despite being covered in wounds, his warrior aura remains undiminished. Ryan stands amidst an epic clash between the blue dragon and the demonic phantom. Powerful energies surge violently around him. A confident smile blooms on Ryan's lips as he faces the challenge. This is the power he yearned for during his most desperate moments. He swings his sword, cleaving the enemy in two. Black blood splatters into the air, a devastating and decisive strike. Chaotic memories of a past filled with failure and humiliation flash by like a film reel. He endured far too much contempt and pain. A brilliant golden light pierces the dungeon's darkness. Ryan looks up at the mysterious golden entity hovering above. The golden entity smiles at Ryan, its face radiating divine authority. It looks at him, seemingly understanding every pain he endured. Ryan channels his remaining strength and charges forward with a glowing emerald sword. He refuses to give up, even in the final seconds of his life. The golden entity raises a hand. Golden mana concentrates at its fingertips. A divine intervention is about to unfold. A massive explosion of light engulfs the entire dungeon, swallowing everything into the void. All pain vanishes instantly. Amidst the radiant halo, the golden entity stands majestic. It appears to be considering granting Ryan a second chance. "I shall grant you a wish." The golden entity's voice echoes in his mind as Ryan reaches for the light. Ryan jolts awake, drenched in sweat, breathing heavily. He stares blankly around, disoriented. Right before his eyes is Colin, his loyal maid, looking at him with deep concern. He can't believe his eyes. Colin died a long time ago. Colin cries out, "Young master," in sheer panic. Ryan hasn't regained his senses, his eyes still wide with absolute confusion. Ryan breathes Colin's name in astonishment. The maid checks his condition, scolding him non-stop for overworking himself. He observes Colin closely and realizes she looks much younger than in his memories. Why is someone who died standing here, perfectly healthy? Glancing out the window, the Sermon Mansion stands majestically beneath a clear blue sky. Ryan realizes he is no longer in that dark dungeon. He quickly orders Colin to bring him a mirror. Colin is startled by the sick young master's sudden demand. Ryan stares into the mirror, horrified by his reflection. It is his own face at the age of 12. Ryan frantically asks Colin for today's date. Colin replies nervously, "It is August 17th, 1892 in the Drea calendar." The number 1892 strikes Ryan like a thunderbolt. He can't believe he actually traveled back in time. He swallows hard, forcing himself to calm down as he confirms he is 12 years old. This is the fateful milestone of his life. In Ryan's eyes, horrifying memories of the burning mansion resurface. This is exactly when the tragedy began. From his bedroom window, he looks down at the grand sermon estate. An empire standing on the edge of the abyss, completely unaware. The image of Sans Parton flashing a wicked smile amidst the flames flashes in his mind. The Parton family orchestrated Sermon's destruction. The golden entity's promise, "I shall grant you a wish," echoes again. Ryan realizes this is the gift that entity bestowed upon him. Ryan's eyes blaze with determination as he grasps that he truly returned to the past. He won't let tragedy repeat itself. Heavy footsteps echo from the corridor, followed by a clearing throat. Someone is approaching Ryan's room. The door opens. Alejandro enters with a stern expression. He heard the young master refuse to get out of bed and suspects he is faking illness to skip training. Ryan's eyes lock onto the man walking in. He instantly recognizes this familiar face. It is Alejandro, the supreme knight commander of the Sermon family. He stands there with a commanding presence, the teacher who was always strict with him. Alejandro stares at Ryan, then sighs, granting him a day off from training since he genuinely looks unwell. But to the shock of both Colin and Alejandro, Ryan springs up and firmly says no. He refuses to waste a single second in altering his fate. Colin freezes at Ryan's resolute attitude. Her eyes widen behind her round glasses, unable to believe the weak young master could change so drastically. Alejandro narrows his eyes, looking at Ryan with suspicion. The absolute certainty in the boy's voice makes the knight commander realize something has shifted. Ryan flashes a confident smile, firmly stating he is fine. His eyes gleam beneath messy black hair, radiating a completely different aura. He sits up on the bed, looks straight at Alejandro, and asks about today's training schedule. This initiative leaves both Colin and the old knight stunned. Alejandro thinks it bizarre that someone who always dodged training now requests it himself. He states today's lesson covers longsword footwork. The old knight stares at Ryan's back, silently wondering if this is truly the young master he knows. The boy's small silhouette standing before the fireplace suddenly looks incredibly sturdy. Ryan tightens his grip on the wooden sword hilt, feeling the rough wood against his skin. This tactile reality cements his belief in what is happening. He silently reaffirms to himself that he is undeniably Ryan Sermon. Without a doubt, he received a new lease on life. In his mind, Ryan questions the identity of the mysterious entity that granted his wish. Alejandro remains standing there, quietly observing Ryan's every micro-movement. Is this regression truly a wish granted? Ryan doesn't care about the reasons behind it. He only knows he must act immediately. Ryan demands to skip basic footwork and jump straight into monster hunting. A formidable black shadow manifests behind him, reflecting an extreme thirst for power. Drops of fresh crimson blood drip in Ryan's mind, a stark reminder of his traumatic past. He knows this is his one and only stroke of luck. Ryan's eyes gleam with the sharp gaze of someone who has tasted every bitter torment. He swears he will turn the tables this time and save his family from ruin. The chance to fix every mistake lies in his grasp. Ryan will not let anyone trample on House Sermon's pride ever again. The Sermon mansion basks in the sunlight, symbolizing Ryan's fresh start. A new chapter in his life officially unfolds. A golden status window pops up before Ryan, displaying his base stats. Arkan's curse, SS, is still active, blocking his mana usage. Ryan realizes that despite inhabiting a frail body, he can still use this status window. This is a massive advantage no one else on the Drea continent possesses. Moreover, this unique ability will help him shatter the limitations the curse forced upon his body. He dismisses the status window with a resolute glare. Alejandro announces the training monster is ready. Ryan braces himself to face the first challenge of his new life. The mansion's massive training ground serves as his first arena. Ryan steps out with a hunter's mindset, ready to embark on a grueling training journey. A fierce goblin snarls. Its yellow eyes glow with phosphorescence and drool drips from its razor-sharp teeth. Chained to a wooden post, it thrashes relentlessly, desperate to attack. The small but savage monster lunges at Ryan with terrifying speed. Ryan faces it down, gripping his wooden sword, ready to strike. Amplified by the curse, the goblin appears far more terrifying in Ryan's eyes. He feels primal fear starting to creep in. Alejandro and Colin stand behind, watching the fight unfold. Colin looks visibly anxious, while the old knight maintains a cold, stern expression. Colin panics, begging Alejandro to stop the training immediately. She knows her young master usually breaks down within seconds of facing a monster. Ryan remembers the version of himself from yesterday, a coward who always collapsed before goblins. The image of his past weakness serves as a reminder of his current transformation. He closes his eyes, struggling to suppress his body's tremors. Ryan fights to conquer the fear deeply ingrained in his subconscious. But when he opens his eyes, his azure pupils blaze with newfound clarity. He understands the true nature of what is happening in his mind. System notifications warn that Arkan's curse is activating, amplifying his fear of monsters. Blazing red panels flood his vision, threatening to swallow his sanity. This fear isn't natural. It's a byproduct of Demon King Arkan's malicious curse. A colossal phantom skull looms behind Ryan, symbolizing the chains binding him. Alejandro exhales heavily, visibly stressed by witnessing Ryan's internal war. Alejandro advises Ryan's sermon to end the session, stating that today is enough. Behind him, the maid Colin watches her young master anxiously, but Ryan firmly refuses, his eyes showing clear dissatisfaction with his current limits. He takes a decisive step forward, muttering that this isn't nearly enough. In front of Ryan is a chained goblin, screeching ferociously. He grips his wooden sword, ready to confront his fear head-on. Sweat pours down Ryan's childish, yet murderous face, as he suppresses the tremors induced by the curse. He digs his feet into the dirt, building momentum for a lethal, explosive sprint. Ryan tells himself to stay calm. He is no longer the weakling of the past, and the opponent before him is merely a low-level monster. His eyes flare with a frigid blue light. Ryan realizes the fear radiating from this goblin is nothing compared to the crushing pressure he felt from that mysterious entity. The goblin bares its fangs menacingly, its sickly yellow eyes burning, eager to devour its challenger. At that exact moment, the image of the golden entity, the almighty god Ryan met at death's door, manifests majestically in his mind. Standing before such a grand existence, Ryan finds this goblin ridiculously small and insignificant. He roars, bringing the wooden sword crashing down on the monster's head with unimaginable force. A devastating blow sends the goblin smashing into the stone pillar, shattering the wooden sword into splinters that rain through the air. Both Alejandro and Colin freeze in utter shock at this drastic transformation. A system prompt pops up, congratulating Ryan for overcoming Arkan's curse through a transcendent experience. The next notification confirms the level of Arkan's curse on his body has officially dropped by a tear. The chained goblin now trembles in terror under Ryan's killing intent, while he grips the broken hilt, awaiting further instruction. The monster fear status is completely wiped out. Ryan's eyes now burn with absolute confidence. Ryan turns to Alejandro and demands a real sword instead of a training one. This bold demand leaves Colin's jaw dropping. Alejandro remains calm, agreeing and drawing his own blade for Ryan. A smile creeps onto Ryan's lips. He is already getting accustomed to this new life. Alejandro tears up, murmuring that the young lord has finally grown into a true man. The pathetic chained goblin shivers, sensing impending doom. Ryan raises the real sword high. Mana blazes around his body like crackling blue lightning. A decisive slash tears through the air. Monster blood splatters across the blade and Ryan's cold face. Alejandro tells Colin to watch closely, for from the ashes of House Sermon, a new ray of hope has just ignited. Ryan stands tall next to the monster's corpse, blood dripping down the blade. Alejandro declares he will undeniably be the next leader of House Sermon. The scene shifts to a sweeping view of the magnificent Sermon estate under a brilliant sun. Ryan splashes water to wash the blood and sweat off his face after the intense training session. He stares deeply at his reflection in the mirror, silently giving thanks for this chance to fix his mistakes. Ryan muses that the system and status windows truly work, helping him bypass Arkan's curse. He stands silently before the mirror, confirming his potential for growth is absolutely real. A glowing golden panel pops up before Ryan, notifying him that his experience points have increased. His experience grew, but Ryan feels it's still too little. He knows he needs to move much faster. The image of the Sermon family engulfed in flames flashes in his mind. Ryan reminds himself that the day of the tragedy is fast approaching. Regardless, Ryan proved that Arkan's curse is not insurmountable. He glares at the system panel, vowing at all costs not to let this precious opportunity slip away again. House Sermon's current situation is highly precarious, with his father and brothers missing for 2 years. Though they retain the status of a great family, Ryan knows enemy plots, especially the sick bastard Sans Partons, are still lurking in the shadows. Ryan clenches his fist. A brilliant flash of mana erupts from his palm. A confident smile surfaces on his lips. Ryan identified the fastest route to level up and rewrite destiny. He resolves to execute Plan B, learning magic. In the mansion's grand hall, an elegant beauty with fiery red hair and a mysterious mask walks amidst a line of imposing guards. In a luxurious room, Ryan sits across from that woman. She admits hearing about Ryan's goblin hunting exploit, but remains unconvinced. She questions why Ryan summoned her to demand magic training, something he never cared about before. She crosses her legs arrogantly, resting her chin on her hand as she observes the young lord. This is Sena, the head mage of the Sermon family. She is one of the rare Seventh Circle great mages on the continent, wielding terrifying fire magic. Ryan looks straight into Sena's eyes, his mindset completely transformed. He knows full well the reputation and power of the woman behind the blue bird mask. Sena is a woman of mystery. Only the family head truly grasps her past and actual strength. She mocks him, asking if Ryan is getting arrogant just because he killed a puny goblin. She reminds Ryan that magic training is vastly different from swordsmanship, demanding qualities he never possessed. This training will be excruciating from step one. Sena scoffs, repeating the harsh truth that she once refused to teach him because he lacked any innate talent. She glares at him sharply from behind the mask. Ryan casually admits it. He knows Arkan's curse prevented his body from sensing mana, let alone learning swordsmanship or magic. He sits cross-legged, facing Sena with unnatural composure. But that was yesterday, Ryan declares boldly. He stares at Sena with blazing eyes, challenging her. What if I can sense mana now? Ryan's shocking claim leaves Sena completely dumbfounded. A drop of sweat rolls down the great mage's cheek, signaling the birth of a new legend. The scene opens in a luxurious room, a steaming teacup resting on the table. Sena hovers in midair, surrounded by blazing magic forming a massive red dragon. Sena speaks up, telling Ryan he can open his eyes now. Ryan's sermon slowly opens his eyes, his gaze entirely calm. Sena challenges him to name what she just drew with mana. A red dragon. Ryan answers instantly, leaving Sena stunned in silence. Seeing her silent for too long, he pretends to ask if he got it wrong. Sena stammers, unable to believe her ears. She can't comprehend what is happening. He transformed completely overnight. She even layered fake magic to trick him, yet Ryan saw right through it. Sena clutches her head, thinking it impossible for someone under his curse to sense magic at this level. Ryan interrupts her thoughts with a serious tone. He admits he can sense mana but cannot wield it, which is exactly why he needs her help. Sena stares at him, sweat beading on her forehead at the unexpected request. She sighs, realizing Ryan already tested this himself. He states that if mana cannot be retained in the body, all efforts are futile. Sena warns that helping him train means forcing her own mana into his body. Ryan's life will rest entirely in her hands. Instead of backing down, Ryan flashes a confident smile. He jokes that he is too weak to resist her anyway. Sena feels both annoyed and anxious, unable to read her young master's mind. But deep down, Ryan knows Sena is the only person he can trust right now. A firm conviction anchors his mind. She is the only one he trusts. Memories from his past life rush back, amidst scenes of ruins and blinding smoke. Sena fought to her last breath, her clothes soaked in blood, yet she stood firm to shield him. Even as her mana drained and her body collapsed, she smiled at him one last time. She protected him until the very last second of his previous life. Ryan looks at Sena, his eyes glowing with determination. He reaches out, reaffirming that he trusts her more than anyone else in the world. Ryan strips off his outer coat, bracing for an excruciating and risky process. He kneels on the floor, exposing strange white birthmarks scattered across his adolescent body. Everything is ready. He signals Sena to begin. This is the Sacred Earth Method, an extremely profound cultivation secret of the Sermon family. Sena begins channeling, a powerful mana aura enveloping her. She didn't expect Ryan to attempt this technique immediately after only learning the theory. Ryan focuses intensely. He recalls using this exact method in Idian to push past his own limits. Sena warns him to concentrate fully, and Ryan nods slightly in response. She places both hands on his back, channeling a stream of glowing mana into Ryan's body. The impending pain will be horrific. She orders him not to scream or thrash. Mana radiates fiercely. Sena tells him that if he can't endure it, he must mentally signal to stop immediately. The veins on Ryan's face bulge as the pain begins ripping his body apart. That agony triggers horrific memories of being chained and tortured in the dark dungeon. The image of the sadistic sands parton with a blood-stained smile surfaces, reminding Ryan of the unforgettable grudge. He grits his teeth, sweating profusely as mana surges violently inside him. Sensing Sena's hesitation, Ryan roars resolutely that he trusts her completely. Sena's eyes harden. She understands and starts amplifying the power output. Blue and gold magic intertwine, engulfing them both in a blinding halo. Ryan's body convulses. The light in his eyes flares so intensely they look ready to explode. Instantly, the system panel flashes. Arkan's curse activated. A colossal phantom skull manifests behind him, roaring. The curse starts purging mana from his body, throwing the cultivation process into a deadly crisis. Sena decides to go all out, pouring massive amounts of mana into Ryan's body. Her hands glow brilliantly as a colossal energy stream floods into the young master's back. System notifications spam relentlessly. Arkan's curse is activating. Blazing red warnings obscure his vision, signaling the curse's fierce rejection of the foreign mana. Ryan knows only he can see these warnings. He understands the internal war, one force purging, the other force invading. Sena grits her teeth, sweat pouring down as she sustains immense magical pressure. Ryan knows perfectly well that even a legendary great mage struggles to defeat a high-tier curse like this. But he devised a far bolder plan. Instead of fighting it, he will let the curse detonate the mana inside him. He will trap that energy rather than let it escape. Ryan glows brilliantly, attempting to trick the curse to retain that precious power. Sena gasps in shock. She sees the mana dispersing but not leaking out. She has never witnessed anything so bizarre in a 12-year-old. The status window shifts. The system notifies Ryan is beginning to resist Arkan's curse. The notifications tick wildly, illustrating a terrifying tug-of-war raging within the teenager's veins. Despite the curse triggering continuously, Ryan holds his ground, refusing to let the mana be expelled. "So hot, my veins are burning," he screams internally in ultimate agony as the thermal energy surges. In his delirium, memories of life and death battles in his past life surface, where he endured pain thousands of times worse than this. He reminds himself that he is the master player of Adian, someone who never yields to any hardship. Ryan's eyes are bloodshot but brimming with resolve, unflinching before reality. In his old world, no one understood mana better than him, and he won't let this garbage curse become a barrier again. "This body may be new, but my soul remembers everything." Ryan tenses, brilliant magic glowing around his body. Demon King Arkan, the curse's master, manifests as a menacing skull phantom in his mind. But to Ryan, Arkan is just a mediocre punk compared to the supreme god he faced in Adian. He despises this trash curse. The magic seal on Ryan's chest begins to glow and crack under the crushing mana pressure. He unleashes a resounding roar. The long-suppressed power detonates outward like an energy hurricane. Sena stares at Ryan in shock, unable to believe such terrifying power erupting from a frail body. After the supreme effort, Ryan's consciousness begins to fade. Everything around him blurs. He collapses onto the floor as Sena screams his name, his body utterly drained after the life-or-death cultivation. In his delirium, Ryan feels himself falling into a black hole of pain, his mind sinking into darkness. In the shadows of his subconscious, Ryan returns to the dark part and dungeon of his past life, a place riddled with horrifying bloodstains. He sees himself chained and brutally tortured by men in grotesque plague doctor masks. Compared to his current pain, what he just endured is nothing. The torturers casually discuss severing his arm tomorrow to test his body's regenerative abilities. They treat him like sermon trash, ready to discard him if the experiment fails. Ryan lies there, his face bloodied and steeped in despair. Suddenly, a razor-sharp sword strikes tears through the dungeon's darkness. A mysterious figure breaches the room, swinging his blade to decimate the dungeon guards in the blink of an eye, carving a path of blood. It is Alejandro, the family's loyal knight, who braved extreme danger to find his young master. Ryan lies in a pool of blood, his tired eyes looking up at the knight fighting tooth and nail for him. Chaotic screams and the clash of weapons echo through the dark dungeon. "Stop him now!" the wardens shout in vain. High above, the cold blue moon witnesses the bloody rescue unfolding underground. In the deep, dark forest, Alejandro's silhouette flickers amidst the smoke and bloodstains. Ryan can't fathom how the old man found him here. Ryan's consciousness is fading. He faintly senses a familiar presence. "Young master, are you still awake?" Alejandro looks down at Ryan, his face smeared with blood and overflowing with grief. The old knight stares at him with tear-filled eyes, choking out an apology for letting him suffer this pain for so long. Ryan, covered in bleeding wounds, stares in awe, realizing Alejandro came to save him. Alejandro looks down at the young master, a gentle smile on his lips despite his own bloodied face. The old knight collapses, using his body, riddled with deeply embedded arrows, to shield Ryan, begging forgiveness for failing to protect him completely. Ryan screams in despair. His heart-wrenching cry echoes through the dark dungeon as he witnesses his most loyal servant's agonizing sacrifice. Ryan's eyes snap open, hot tears still clinging to their corners after that terrifyingly real nightmare. He lies in the sickbed, breathing heavily, tears streaming down as traumatic memories from his past life crush his heart. Ryan holds his hand up to the morning light, feeling the new power coursing through him, realizing the cultivation process was a success. The image of his loyal aides dying in pools of blood flashes in his mind, fueling his resolve to use his current power to ensure that tragedy never repeats. Brilliant mana flares in his palm, but he knows he must keep this secret hidden until the time is right. His greatest enemy, San's part of the Parton family, still looms like a menacing phantom, and Ryan knows he is currently too weak to face him head-on. Clenching his fist with iron resolve, Ryan finalizes his next move. He will actively accelerate the downfall of this rotten Sermon family from within. The Sermon mansion still stands tall under the blue sky, but a storm of internal purging is about to strike the family. Ryan scratches his head, giggling as he tells Sena his cultivation failed. Sena freezes, her eyes widening in shock behind the mask. Even Alejandro refuses to believe his ears, asking him to repeat it just to be sure. The entire room plunges into a terrifying silence. Only Ryan sits there, casually scratching his neck. Ryan's eyes suddenly turn razor-sharp. He tells himself he absolutely cannot reveal the truth right now. Looking at his two loyal aides, he feels a twinge of guilt, but resolves to keep his regression a secret. He pretends to look down in sorrow, claiming that despite trying his best, he failed to meet everyone's expectations. Ryan casually extends his hand, inviting Sena to check and confirm the results herself. Sena remains suspicious, stepping closer to observe the young master's expressions carefully. The female mage begins casting a detection spell, her eyes reflecting intense concentration. She grabs Ryan's scrawny hand, and magical energy begins to pour out. Glowing magic circles envelop them both as Sena desperately searches for even the tiniest speck of mana. Sena's face pales, stammering in disbelief at the results before her. While Sena is shell-shocked, Ryan maintains his calm demeanor, even harboring a hint of triumph. Sena yanks her hand back in horror, her hands trembling in midair as she realizes yesterday's mana has vanished completely. Her eyes tear up. She cannot comprehend what happened to her young master. Unable to bear the shock, Sena stumbles out of the room in utter despair. Alejandro, standing nearby, sweats profusely, his face displaying deep concern for the family's future. The old knight suppresses his grief to comfort Ryan, advising him to focus on managing the estate instead of cultivating. Ryan fakes a groan, covering his face, whining that this cultivation attempt was too exhausting and he will never dare try again. Alejandro stands frozen, looking at his young master with pity and helplessness. Autumn arrives. Blazing red maple leaves litter the courtyard, signaling a turbulent phase for House Sermon. 2 months flash by. Snow begins blanketing the entire estate in white. Ryan's door creaks open. The maid Colin steps into the dark, silent space. Colin looks visibly exhausted. She sighs, knowing the young master still refuses to leave his room today. Standing before the madam's portrait, Colin feels heartbroken watching her shoulder the burden of a failing family alone. Everything seems to have surpassed the breaking point of those who remain. Colin bumps into other servants in the hallway, receiving familiar head shakes when asking about Ryan's condition. A male servant complains to Colin that 3 months have passed, and Ryan won't even listen to Alejandro anymore. Whispers spread. They believe the young master's bizarre behavioral shifts are omens of their downfall. Colin shouts to defend Ryan, asserting he tried his hardest to meet everyone's expectations. But the gazes of those around her remain, filled with mockery and contempt. Rumors spread across the kingdom. People start calling Ryan the trash of House Sermon. Colin tries to explain they are being too cruel to a child, but the male servant gives her a cold stare. The servant casually announces he is quitting at the end of the month, having watched a wave of staff leave. Colin stands frozen, tears falling as she watches her family disintegrate piece by piece. Colin chokes out a tearful, "Young master." Meanwhile, Ryan calmly cuts his steak, enjoying a luxurious dinner in solitude. He wipes his mouth with aristocratic grace, well aware the family's finances are hitting critical levels. Ryan's eyes flash with a brilliant blue light and a mysterious smile. Everything is going exactly according to plan. Ryan recalls his past life, when he frantically buried himself in ledgers to save the family. But the current Ryan, armed with extensive experience from his past life, chose a radically different and far bolder approach. Ryan tells himself to hold his breath and wait, feigning weakness to lower the enemy's guard. Behind him, Alejandro's imposing figure stands tall like a reminder of heavy responsibilities. He knows the time to execute the traitors and expose those who framed his family is drawing near. The family portrait hanging silently behind the red curtain evokes the mysterious disappearance of the patriarch and his older brothers. House Sermon is now so depleted they can't afford to send out any more search parties. The mansion's training ground, once bustling with the clash of weapons and cheers, is now just a distant memory of a golden era. The remaining knights are unskilled and demoralized, while the servants lack any willpower. They are so lethargic they yawn widely even while on guard duty. Wooden swords and training dummies lay abandoned in the freezing snow, reflecting the desolation of a family in an irreversible downward spiral. Witnessing this chaos, Nobles who once sought alliances quickly turned their backs and never visited again. In stark contrast to the bleak atmosphere outside, Ryan appears to enjoy the silence, comfortably locking himself in his room to play the useless air. He lounges casually on his bed, calculating that the family's decline is actually moving a bit too slow. He vows to take more drastic measures tomorrow to accelerate the plan. The bedroom door bursts open with a thunderous crash. Colin the maid storms in, looking panicked, screaming the young master's name. Colin, her eyes blazing with unnatural zeal, announces it is time for training. She urges Ryan to hurry because Knight Commander Alejandro has been waiting forever. Ryan buries his face in his pillow, looking utterly bored and exhausted by his loyal maid's excessive enthusiasm. Seeing her young master as motionless as a rock, Colin marches up to the bed, hands prepped for forced eviction. She aggressively yanks the blanket off Ryan, exposing the shivering teenager who looks incredibly helpless and bewildered. Ryan stares at Colin in panic. Sweat pours down his face, unsure of what drastic measures she will deploy next. Giving him no time to react, Colin effortlessly hoists Ryan up with surprising strength. Her eyes harden, signaling she won't let her young master slack off for another second. Colin grits her teeth with determination, her eyes shining with absolute loyalty and responsibility toward the sole heir. In her heart, she recalls holding Ryan when he was just a newborn. She swore to herself that no matter how dire the family's situation, she would never abandon him. Leaving Ryan to laugh bitterly on the inside, Colin carries him straight out the door, marching toward the sunlit training ground. At the sermon training ground, ancient architecture stands tall under the blue sky, but the atmosphere is anything but peaceful. Alejandro roars in fury, his white beard quivering. He cannot believe his young master wields a sword so amateurishly after countless lessons. Ryan Sermon swings his wooden sword at the dummy half-heartedly. Alejandro patiently explains that proper sword swings naturally circulate mana. Looking at Ryan's lethargic, sweaty demeanor, it seems nothing is sinking in. But deep down, Alejandro refuses to give up on this young master. Ryan actually appreciates the dedication, but he can't reveal his secret nightly training sessions. Those high-intensity workouts are what truly drive his progress. He is employing body control, an assassination skill from his past life, to mask his physical state. It lets him manipulate every muscle group, looking clumsy to outsiders while secretly optimizing his strength. Under the moonlight, deep blue mana cloaks Ryan's body. His eyes turn razor-sharp, a stark contrast to his naive daytime expression with Alejandro. A glowing golden notification pops up in midair. His experience points just increased after a night of relentless effort. His stamina and strength stats simultaneously increase by 1. These silent efforts are yielding concrete results. Ryan pants, sweat streaming down his face. Checking his training progress, he realizes he is on the verge of breaking through to a new power threshold. To avoid suspicion, Ryan tosses the wooden sword aside and sprints indoors, using an urgent bathroom break as an excuse. Alejandro stands frozen, watching the boy bolt. Inside the palace corridor, the blue aura from his skill still lingers around Ryan. He knows maintaining this skill during heavy exertion is still unstable. Reaching privacy, Ryan breathes a sigh of relief. Mana still surges powerfully around him, proving his body control is reaching new limits. He gestures, summoning his status window. Sparkling golden light reflects in the determined eyes of the 12-year-old boy. The info panel confirms Ryan Sermon has reached level 3. Despite being shackled by a B-rank Arkan's curse, stats like Strength 17 and Stamina 14 are impressive results after 3 months of secret training. Ryan walks down the corridor, already plotting his class advancements for Ghost, Necromancer, and Assassin to reach his past life's peak as soon as possible. Lost in thought, Ryan halts when he spots Alejandro standing with a stranger. The guest exudes a highly formal aura. It is Truno Hilda, the head butler of House Sermon. He approaches Ryan with a stern face, apologizing for interrupting the young master's training. Truno hands Ryan a heavily sealed scroll. Ryan notes the current situation has deviated slightly from his pre-regression memories. He opens the letter, his eyes scanning the text rapidly. As expected, this letter bears a critical message from the royal family. The letter is an invitation to the birthday banquet of Kyle Daron, the second prince of the Daron kingdom. It is set for December 1892 in the Drea calendar. Ryan tightens his grip on the scroll, a cryptic smile playing on his lips. The final piece of his puzzle is in place. The fateful day has arrived. Days later, in the carriage heading to the capital, Ryan yawns tiredly. He slept through the entire journey, exhausted from overtraining. Truno Hilda sits opposite, smiling as he asks if the young master is fully awake. Ryan complains he was forced to try on clothes until late last night. He remembers Colin's starry-eyed gaze as she dragged out endless extravagant outfits for him to test. Ryan barely stopped her from demanding to tag along. The carriage glides past dense forests. Truno understands the young master's fatigue, especially since neither Alejandro nor Sena are escorting him this time. The reason is a massive, unexpected monster swarm at the border, an anomaly no one could have predicted for this time of year. Ryan thinks this is an all-too-perfect coincidence. House Sermon's primary duty is preventing monsters from the Dark Zone from breaching the border. Thus, Alejandro had to lead the troops out immediately. Meanwhile, Sena is absent due to an urgent summons from her mother. Ryan knows it's an order from the matriarch currently governing remotely, a command Sena cannot refuse. So a lone 12-year-old boy heads to the royal capital as the sole representative of his entire family. Truno tries to assure Ryan he need not worry too much. The old butler confidently claims that in the Daron Kingdom, no one dares touch the direct bloodline of the prestigious House Sermon. Ryan listens in silence, but his mind harbors different thoughts. He covers his mouth to hide his sharp gaze. Truno's claim might hold true for House Sermon at its peak, but certainly not during its current decline. The image of the torn family crest flashes in Ryan's mind. When a family is failing, even forcing the young master to personally attend a prince's birthday is mandatory, replacing the tradition of sending a proxy. Truno announces the capital is in sight. Ryan smiles faintly. He secretly orchestrated this exact solitary scenario for himself. The carriage travels down the dirt road toward the sun-drenched city. This is Dararun, the power center of the Daron Kingdom, where new upheavals are about to unfold. Majestic white castles appear before them. A white bird soars across the sky, signaling the start of Ryan's calculated journey. The palace prepared a grand reception with a rolling red carpet and 2 lines of standing guards. House Sermon's arrival, despite their decline, draws massive attention. Ryan Sermon steps out of the carriage in an elegant, noble outfit. A tall figure with flowing blonde hair stands waiting before him. Kyle Daron spreads his arms, flashing an arrogant smile as he welcomes Ryan with a sarcastic title. The Dragon of Drea, a mocking greeting directed at a collapsing family. Second Prince Kyle Daron wears a lavish purple and gold suit, his face exuding upper-class superiority as he looks down at the boy. Truno Hilda bows respectfully while Ryan responds with humility. He thanks the royal family for their warm welcome, playing the role of an obedient young master perfectly. But deep in Ryan's eyes, a cold glint flashes. Welcome. He fully understands the true intent behind the prince's fake, overly eager facade. Ryan Sermon sits in the carriage, staring out the window with cold eyes. He clearly feels the scrutinizing gazes as the convoy moves from the city gates into the royal palace. The luxurious carriage rolls past simple wooden houses in the capital. Apprehensive eyes fixate on the Sermon crest, an empire the public sees spiraling into ruin. Behind pitch-black windows, curious eyes track the notorious young master's arrival. Their interest isn't out of respect, but curiosity mixed with pity for the wreckage named Sermon. Ryan walks through a crowd of nobles whispering right behind his back. Rumors of a trash heir, a harbinger of House Sermon's destruction, spread exactly as he calculated. Ryan is surrounded by phantoms of mockery and contempt. He walks tall, fully aware of the malicious glares and stifled laughter of the capital's nobility trailing him. A cryptic smirk appears on Ryan's face. To him, everything in this fake, treacherous place is going exactly according to his master plan. The capital sky is a deep blue, white clouds drifting above the rooftops. An eerie silence descends before the true storm of conspiracies makes landfall. Ryan suddenly shifts his demeanor, faking clumsiness as he scratches his head and forces an awkward smile to greet them. He plays the role of a timid, incompetent young master to deceive his watchers. Standing aside, butler Truno Hilda covers his face in sheer frustration at his master's antics. Behind him, maids and young nobles stifle laughter at the Sermon heir's pathetic display. Smirks and mocking glares fill the hall. The capital nobles don't bother hiding their disdain for the boy they are certain will soon drag down a prestigious family. Ryan's eyes turn razor-sharp, his pupils flashing with eerie, glowing purple rings in the darkness. He debates internally whether to toy with these fools a little longer. An empty palace corridor with towering stone pillars leads to a windy balcony. Ryan stands still in the massive space, silently preparing for his next critical move. In a rest room for escort guards, 2 Sermon soldiers eat a simple breakfast. A hat-wearing soldier gnaws on bread while his comrade reminds him they've been in the palace for a week. The grand banquet scene flashes in their minds, where envoys from everywhere are busy networking. Arriving early was meant for building connections, but their young master hasn't done any of that. The hat-wearing soldier recalls Ryan trembling when they first arrived, incapable of greeting the nobles properly. The young master locked himself in his room since that day, refusing to see anyone. The soldier suddenly groans in misery, bread still stuck in his throat. 5 days have passed, and the pre-birthday festivities are in full swing while they are stuck rotting in here. The table is lined with fragrant roasted meats, chicken legs, and foaming mugs of beer. This is everything the young soldiers crave right now. Good food, strong liquor, and ogling beauties at the banquet. The door bursts open with a loud crash, startling the soldier eating soup. Another soldier sprints in looking panicked, shouting "Captain," to report an emergency. Ryan Sermon appears at the doorway in an elegant white suit, draping his coat with brimming confidence. He casually announces his attendance at tonight's banquet, ordering his escorts to prepare immediately. The two guards freeze for a few seconds at the sudden announcement from a young master who had been hiding all this time. They exchange dumbfounded looks, unable to believe their ears. Immediately after, the young soldiers cheer wildly, high-fiving to celebrate finally getting to attend the royal banquet. Their joyous cheers echo through the cramped rest room. However, the messenger soldier states the young master demands absolute secrecy until he officially makes his entrance. Even head butler Trun Ohilda is kept out of this surprise plan. The escort guards grin widely, their eyes sparkling with happiness. To them, nothing matters more than the young master finally stepping out to reclaim their family's dignity. Ryan leans against the wall, quietly watching his energetic subordinates rush off to prepare their uniforms. He knows his appearance will crush all the lingering complaints and nasty rumors. A starkly contrasting scene reveals itself. Behind closed doors, Ryan executes intense, powerful push-ups. For 5 days, he exploited every second to aggressively build his stamina without interruption. Standing on the balcony looking at the sunlit palace towers, Ryan knows attending the banquet is far more than a nice gesture for his guards. Ryan's eyes grow more resolute and profound than ever. He is quietly aiming for a goal far grander and more colossal than these shallow fools could ever imagine. Under the silent night, Ryan's carriage travels alone on the cobblestone road leading to the royal palace. This marks the beginning of House Sermon's explosive resurgence right in the heart of enemy territory. A crimson aura billows like fire, heralding the arrival of despised scum. Deep-seated hostility ignites, primed to detonate tonight. Sans Parton reveals himself, his long silver hair covering half his face, his red eyes exuding pure arrogance. He rests his chin on his hand, smirking contemptuously at the opponent he is about to face in the banquet hall. Ryan Sermon's azure eyes project unnatural calm, yet harbor razor-sharp calculations. He is entirely ready to confront every enemy waiting behind those doors. Fresh blood splatters against a gloomy purple backdrop as Sans Parton's name materializes menacingly. He is the most obnoxious obstacle Ryan must eliminate to execute his plan. The Darorun Royal Palace stands majestic beneath a blood-red sunset sky. Lights in the windows flicker on, signaling the official start of the birthday banquet. Inside the lavish hall, a booming announcement introduces the young master, Sans Parton. The noble crowd instantly buzzes, shifting all attention to the main entrance. The grand doors slowly swing open, projecting brilliant light that drowns out the outside space. An oppressive aura floods the room, silencing all conversations instantly. Sans Parton strides in arrogantly, a blue cloak draped over his vibrant red suit. He saunters between 2 rows of guards, hands shoved in his pockets, radiating insolence and pride. Sans glides past the noble crowd with a mocking, disdainful smirk. He knows his flashy entrance will be the focal point for all aristocratic gossip. Butler Trun Ohilda stands quietly in a corner, his aged face stern and deeply cautious. He explicitly senses the provocative aura aimed directly at him and House Sermon. Sans Parton approaches, offering a sarcastic, fake greeting to the Sermon head butler. He mocks that Prince Kyle must be shocked to see Sans personally attending this banquet. Trun Ohilda faces Sans, striving to maintain the calm, professional demeanor of a veteran butler. Sans sneers, nodding he heard the Sermon entourage arrived ages ago, yet they are nowhere to be seen. Sans Parton suddenly leans in close, his smile growing increasingly cunning and defiant. He loudly questions the whereabouts of the illustrious, young master Ryan Sermon that everyone is so eager to meet. Trun Ohilda's face hardens, sweat beading on his forehead as he faces Sans's direct oppression. This public provocation shoves House Sermon into a highly precarious position right in the middle of the banquet. Trun Ohilda sweats profusely, forcing himself to stay calm against Sans Parton's blatant provocation. Sans smirks arrogantly, confident that everyone knows how Sermon's scandalous tale is. Hilda's eyes turn lethal. Tension is etched deeply into his aged face. Sans casually brings up the legend of Ryan Sermon, the boy branded as the omen of his family's destruction. An image flashes in Hilda's mind. Sans Parton engulfed in golden mana, proving his innate talent at age 15. His magic has already reached the fifth circle. The nobles whisper about Sans insulting House Sermon right inside Daron territory. The atmosphere grows suffocating as a great family's honor is treated as a joke. Sans Parton bursts into laughter, placing a hand on his chest in mock sincerity before the old butler. He fakes agreement, stating they must find the rumor-mongers and punish them for tarnishing a great family's name. Hilda grits his teeth in seething resentment at the bastard's hypocrisy. He mentally reviews Sans's notorious past, an alcoholic by age 7 who committed atrocities in Parton territory at age 12. The announcer's booming voice echoes through the hall, introducing the Dragon of Drea, young Master Ryan Sermon. All eyes instantly snap to the main doors as a new figure prepares to emerge. Ryan Sermon strides in with an overwhelming aura, the spotlights highlighting his proud silhouette. Sans Parton flinches, his smirk instantly freezing at this unexpected arrival. Hilda's jaw drops in shock to see his supposedly lazy master appear so radiantly. He cannot fathom why the boy who locked himself away chose this exact moment to show his face. Sparkling light reflects off Ryan's dark hair as he walks through the noble crowd. A dramatic entrance that forces the entire banquet hall to hold its breath. Ryan stands tall in his luxurious suit, exuding an elegance and confidence that shatters the rumors of him being trash. His presence completely eclipses everyone standing around him. A close-up of Ryan's face reveals a cryptic smirk aimed squarely at Sans Parton. His gaze is sharp and calculated, seemingly in total control of the situation. Noblewomen gasp in awe at Ryan Sermon's dashing looks and poised demeanor. They begin doubting the malicious rumors, replacing them with admiration for the Sermon bloodline's aura. Sans Parton grits his teeth in sheer rage watching Ryan approach and steal the spotlight. He cannot accept that a wretch he despised could shine so brilliantly. Sans Parton clenches his fists, fighting to suppress the fury erupting in his chest. In his mind, the name Sermon is a loathsome shadow blocking his ascent. Ryan stops right in front of Sans Parton, creating a high-stakes standoff between two powerful heirs. The space around them seems to freeze under their silent killing intent. Ryan bows politely, asking for Sans Parton's identity as if they were total strangers. He casually mentions hearing many tales about Sans from his older brother, Roz. Hilda stands by, anxiously watching Ryan's every micro-movement, ready to intervene. Meanwhile, other nobles start gossiping about the fourth son of House Sermon. Whispers spread across the hall about the long-lost son of the illustrious family. The crowd's curiosity adds even more weight to Ryan's mysterious entrance. Sans Parton snorts contemptuously, reacting to Ryan with pure hostility and disdain. He loudly declares he has also heard plenty of good stories about Ryan Sermon. Sans Parton's eyes narrow maliciously, but Ryan maintains a terrifyingly calm expression. He calls Sans a kind soul, a deeply sarcastic compliment. Ryan steps closer, bringing up the time his brother Roz and Sans studied at the prestigious academy together. He asserts everyone there knew Sans Parton's reputation, despite him only lasting a few short months. Sans Parton's face pales, cold sweat dripping as Ryan drills into his dark past. Ryan maintains his cold smile, crushing his opponent with invisible pressure. A memory surfaces, Sans pinning down a weaker student to extort money. Ryan sarcastically recounts how Sans saved bullied classmates. The next memory shows Sans bullying a helpless, terrified schoolgirl who is sobbing uncontrollably. Ryan continues using a mocking tone to describe how Sans helped women in distress. Ryan presses a finger to his lips thoughtfully, wondering aloud if he missed any of Sans's other achievements. Dark mana flares around Sans Parton as his fury crosses the breaking point. Ryan's eyes flash blue. He leans close to Sans's ear and brings up a secret incident involving a knee. A devilish smirk spreads across the Sermon heir's face. Seeing the situation spiraling, Hilda cuts Ryan off. He loudly mentions hearing young Master Roz had a bad knee, and Sans kindly brought excellent medicine for him. Butler Hilda drags Ryan away swiftly, muttering about an urgent message from the Knight Captain. He desperately tries to pull his young master out of this hostility-ridden zone. Ryan glances back at Sans Parton, who stands paralyzed by sheer resentment and humiliation. The young master feels deeply satisfied having struck his rival's darkest nerve. Ryan is dragged away, but keeps a victorious, provocative smirk on his lips. He believes this dramatic prelude is more than enough for his initial goal. Ryan's eyes suddenly flare with eerie blue light, exuding the ruthlessness of someone who has weathered countless storms. A silent warning to anyone scheming against his family. Sans Parton stands rooted to the spot, his eyes glowing red with world-ending rage burning his core. He grinds his teeth, hissing Ryan's name with all the hatred blazing in his heart. Sans's face contorts with fury, crimson lightning crackles around his bloodshot eyes. He cannot believe he was humiliated and threatened by someone like Ryan in front of so many people. Ryan walks away, throwing a single, cold, contemptuous glance over his shoulder. He silently dares Sans to lose his mind, because that fury is exactly what he needs. Ryan covers his mouth to stifle a laugh, his eyes turning as cold and sharp as a blade. Sans Parton's uncontrolled rage is a crucial gear in his revenge plan. The magnificent palace stands brilliantly against the deep night of the Darren Kingdom. A fake tranquility blankets the conspiracies and hatred quietly boiling inside. A shattering crash echoes in the empty room as a priceless vase is smashed to pieces against the floor. A furious curse escapes Sans Parton's teeth as he loses total control. Sans Parton storms down the corridor, his extravagant outfit now disheveled from his rage. He screams Ryan Sermon's name with psychotic hatred. Sans glares at his reflection in the frosted glass, his eyes brimming with venom. He recalls Ryan's words about his ruined reputation at the academy, information Ryan got straight from Roz. The image of Roz Sermon with blonde hair and cold blue eyes materializes in Sans Parton's mind. He seethes with ultimate resentment that Ryan exposed the truth. He was expelled, not withdrawn. Sans Parton loses his mind even more that Ryan dared publicly mention the knee incident, a scandal the Parton family spent fortunes to cover up. Those dark secrets instantly became Ryan's tools to humiliate him. Trunohilda's voice still echoes in Sans Parton's mind, recounting when he brought medicine for Roz's bad knee. That sarcastic jab twists the knife in a humiliating past Sans desperately wanted buried forever. A gloomy black aura consumes Sans's mind as he relives that humiliation. It's a filthy secret he swore no one else would ever know, especially his enemies. Sans Parton pants heavily, sweat pouring down his usually arrogant face. The mix of rage and terror shatters his usual composure after Ryan's public shamming. Memories of the academy flood back, where Roz stood tall, enveloped in crackling blue lightning magic. He was shielding a helpless girl and glaring at Sans with utter contempt. In the past, Sans trembled and begged Roz for mercy, desperately claiming he had no idea the girl was associated with Roz. He clumsily justified his cruelty as kind treatment for inferior beings. Roz's eyes blazed with furious blue lightning, as he condemned Sans for using magic to harm a classmate. He ordered Sans to kneel and beg for forgiveness immediately. Roz coldly declared he would sacrifice his family's reputation to obliterate Sans if he didn't repent. The absolute resolve in Roz's eyes made Sans feel death's breath on his neck. A close-up of Sans Parton in the past, grinding his teeth in deep resentment when backed into a corner. The humiliation of kneeling before another became an unhealing scar on his soul. Sans collapsed onto the floor, kneeling in penance under the strict gaze of Roz and the victim. The electric current from Roz's magic still enveloped the area like a heavy threat. Back in the present, Sans Parton screams maniacally in his private room, clutching his head to banish the horrific memories. Madness takes over after Ryan Sermon ripped open old wounds mid-banquet. Regaining his composure, Sans resolves to push his plan forward at all costs to wipe out all evidence. He tells himself to ignore Roz and focus on silencing Ryan Sermon to protect his secret. Sans wipes the sweat from his forehead, a devilish smile creeping onto his sinister face. He vows Ryan will soon face a horrific tragedy he could never anticipate. Amidst the dead of night, a knock on the door halts Sans's malicious plotting. He quickly buries his madness, reverting to the facade of a powerful, cold-blooded noble. The door swings open with a soft click, carrying an aura of deep mystery. Sans Parton casually allows the stranger into his private room to discuss major affairs. A tall figure steps out of the shadows, calm and exceptionally stern. This secret midnight meeting undoubtedly carries the stench of the darkest conspiracies. Sans Parton's eyes flash with dangerous purple light as he identifies his uninvited guest. He smiles triumphantly. Everything is proceeding exactly as he orchestrated. The man standing before Sans is none other than Trunohilda, the respected head butler of House Sermon. His presence here at this hour signals a world-shattering betrayal taking form. Late at night, a full moon hangs high above the dark mountains. illuminating the deserted road leading out of the capital. The Sermon family's carriage convoy and escorts rumble out of the imposing city gates, beginning their journey home in the dead of night. Inside the carriage, Ryan Sermon rests his chin on his hand, staring out the window, mentally reviewing the trip's outcome. Everything at the banquet went according to plan, letting him shed the prodigal son label for a new cover, a smart heir devoid of martial or magical talent. Ryan smirks calculatingly as he recalls Sans Parton's shell-shocked face. That bastard took the bait completely, becoming the first pawn manipulated in this noble war. Hilda looks at his young master with deep gratitude, showering him with praise for his stellar performance at the palace. To the old man, that act was a spark of hope reignited for the collapsing House Sermon. In response to the butler's excitement, Ryan calmly points out he just directly provoked House Parton without making a single ally. Truno chokes on his words, sweat dotting his forehead at the young master's icy pragmatism. Under the moonlight streaming through the window, the old butler smiles faintly, admitting that despite the risks, seeing Sans Parton backed into a corner felt incredibly satisfying. Ryan's eyes harden, deep and uncompromising. He doesn't just want to be seen as smart. He wants his enemies to get sloppy by underestimating his true strength. Suddenly, Ryan clenches his fist, and an invisible pressure fills the cramped carriage. Radiant red light leaks through his fingers, signaling an imminent eruption of power. Crimson mana bursts forth violently, illuminating Hilda's utterly horrified face. The old butler stammers, witnessing a reality that obliterates the rumors of a useless boy crippled by Arkan's curse. A close-up of Ryan Sermon's razor-sharp eyes. Hilda trembles, asking what the young master intends to do. Inside the stifling carriage, Ryan activates a soundproof barrier. Old butler Truno turns pale, sensing impending doom. Ryan stares straight at the old man, coldly stating he has chosen to betray House Sermon. Sweat pours down like rain. Truno is struck dumb by the 12-year-old's soul-piercing gaze. Ryan ruthlessly passes judgment, declaring the old man's sins unforgivable. The carriage rolls steadily through the quiet, moonlit night, but Ryan has more to say. The young master smiles cryptically, stating he can overlook this since the old man did it for the family's sake. Truno's eyes widen in shock, unable to believe he just dodged an execution block. The old man bows his head, stuttering, paralyzed by fear. Ryan knows the old man is out of options, so he offers him one last chance to redeem himself. Listen carefully, Ryan growls, demanding the old man pass judgment himself, just as he always does. The butler's eyes reflect sheer terror at the young master's oppressive aura. The escort convoy marches on outside, completely oblivious to the suffocating standoff inside. Ryan winks mischievously, sending Truno's heart into overdrive from the pressure. The old butler swallows hard, his throat bitter as he looks down. Ryan sits cross-legged, relaxed, his blue eyes flashing amidst the faint magical smoke. Truno wonders how a mere child concocted such schemes. The old butler grits his teeth, asking shakily who his young master truly is. Blue light flares in Ryan's eyes. A deadly silence engulfs them. Truno buries his face in his hands, completely broken under Ryan's massive shadow. He pants, feeling like a tiny pawn in this child's hands. Suddenly, he bursts into tearful laughter, a manic thrill surging as if he wants to scream in victory. Ryan smirks, certain the old butler will make the right choice. As the carriage nears the capital gates, Ryan reminds Truno the journey is almost over. Truno looks at the young master sitting opposite, shivering at his terrifying composure. The old man realizes he was dead wrong. That is not the innocent smile of a child. What radiates from Ryan right now is a thick, frigid, and menacing killing intent. Suddenly, the carriage wheels lock up mid-road with an ear-piercing screech. An escort guard barks out, demanding to know why the convoy stopped so abruptly. He stares in bewilderment, horrified as he spots the anomaly. The coachman slumps over, blood spilling from his eyes and mouth. He was poisoned, dying instantly. Before anyone can react, magical light streaks past the guard's face. Ambush, the scream tears through the night. The convoy plunges into absolute chaos. The captain roars, ordering his men to protect the carriage at all costs from the incoming mana arrows. Mages frantically deploy barriers. Glowing golden domes manifest to shield the carriage from the arrow rain. Amidst the chaos, the captain draws his sword and bellows, demanding the cowards attacking House Sermon show themselves. Another soldier freezes, watching magical arrows relentlessly pound the barrier. The captain swats an arrow away, ordering his men not to approach the carriage blindly. He swears to execute anyone who dares step closer. But strange noises echo from inside the carriage. The doors begin to rattle. The young master is gone. The shout triggers sheer panic across the escort team. The captain stands paralyzed, incapable of processing the madness unfolding before his eyes. The full moon casts shadows across the silent forest, hiding Ryan's disappearance. In another corner, a cloaked figure rides a horse at full gallop through the night, his blue eyes burning with eerie light. Truno Hilda, heavily cloaked, exhales a long breath that dissipates the freezing fog in the dead of night. He looks highly stressed about the imminent critical event. He rides frantically, hoofbeats echoing rapidly through the dark forest. Every movement screams the stealth of a man harboring a monstrous secret. Meanwhile, Ryan's sermon is bound tightly, strung upside down inside a glowing magic circle. Status windows pop up endlessly, warning that his body is besieged by debuffs and sensory disruption effects. Despite hanging upside down, Ryan maintains terrifying composure. He internally mocks his kidnappers for piling so many useless hexes on him. A memory fragment from his past life surfaces, where escort guards scramble to find him in vain. Ryan knows this kidnapping was the spark that burned his family to the ground in his previous life. Back then, House Sermon exhausted all resources hunting for their sole heir, resulting in rapid decline and total collapse. That is a costly lesson he will never allow to repeat. Ryan's current gaze hardens, filled with iron resolve. He silently observes and calculates every enemy move. Ryan plans to weaponize this kidnapping to turn the tables, accelerating his family's revival on his own terms. He will turn himself into the master pawn to orchestrate everything. Back in the carriage, old butler Truno turned pale hearing the young master outline a fake collapse plan. He couldn't believe a child possessed such profound and reckless thinking. Ryan rested his chin on his hand, calmly explaining House Sermon's precarious situation. He knows rival factions are lurking, waiting to exterminate them at the first opening. If they flaunt their power too soon, rival families will instantly ally to crush that spark. The banners of enemy houses loom like phantoms ready to strike. That is why Ryan intentionally cultivated the image of a useless heir, even letting others humiliate him. He wants those noble fools to drop their guard completely before he delivers the killing blow. But Sans Parton is the exception, a ruthless bastard aiming to uproot House Sermon completely. He stands arrogant, ready to trample everything to get his way. Ryan's eyes flash with dangerous red light as he clenches his fist. He will hijack Parton's vicious ambition as a springboard for his grand master plan. The plan is already in motion since Sans Parton swallowed the bait. Ryan sits quietly in the dark, waiting for the prey to spring the trap completely. His return trip from the capital is the absolute perfect time for enemies to execute their dark schemes. Sans Parton and the shadowy carriage loom like an omen of the unavoidable clash. Truno Hilda sweats profusely hearing the young master assert that having an inside man help the enemy is even better. The old man realizes Ryan sees through every betrayal sprouting within the family. A faint, challenging smirk graces Ryan's lips. He is ready to face the filthiest conspiracies head-on. Ryan extends a hand, his firm gaze demanding Truno make the final choice for himself. This decision will dictate both their futures. Will this game end their decline, or fire the starting gun for House Sermon's glorious rebirth? Truno stands at life's crossroads. Back on horseback, Ryan's body suddenly erupts with brilliant blue mana to neutralize the status effects. The system constantly notifies him that resistance skills are operating at maximum output. Ryan's eyes blaze with confident blue light. Everything is running exactly according to his meticulous calculations. Truno, hidden in heavy robes, trembles as he delivers Ryan to the enemy. With a heavy heart, the old man whispers an apology to his young master. Ryan reminds Truno to stick rigidly to the plan he laid out. The old man cannot afford to break down now. Tears of remorse stream down Truno's aged face as he personally hands his young master over to the enemy. The agony is absolute, but this might be his only path to redemption. Ryan's mana spikes abruptly, triggering notifications that all base stats have hit 20, successfully unlocking the Sense stat. His power surges violently. Ryan smiles in satisfaction, having met the first prerequisite for a power breakthrough. All the pain was worth it. Under the full moon, Truno stops at a gloomy villa deep in the forest, where enemy shadows lie in wait. Truno hands Ryan over to a group of cloaked strangers. One of them praises the old butler for executing the kidnapping so diligently. Sans Parton steps out, sporting his long silver hair and trademark sinister expression. He feigns surprise that Truno personally delivered the young master to sell him out without any coercion. Truno lowers his head in silence, hugging Ryan, who is bound by red ropes. The old man's silence holds indescribable humiliation and agony. Sans Parton smirks mockingly, staring down the butler who cowardly betrayed his own family. He tells the old man to stay quiet and take his reward. A dog that bites its master only cares about the bone. The surroundings blur under the chillingly eerie blue moonlight. Sans Parton produces an ancient parchment roll. The classified intel Truno sacrificed his lifelong honor to obtain. The old butler hastily snatches the scroll, his face a mix of anxiety and hope as he asks if this intel is truly accurate. Sans Parton assures him it is intel from the renowned Asan family, a notorious hub for assassinations and information gathering that never sells fake news. Old Truno stares at the scroll bearing the Asan seal, supposedly holding clues about the remaining direct heirs of House Sermon. Ryan, though feigning unconsciousness, hears every word crystal clear. He finally understands the true motive driving Truno to accept the title of a monstrous traitor. The old man wants to find the older brothers capable of leading the family, willing to sell out a useless, younger brother like him to achieve it. Images of his brothers haunt Ryan's mind. Sans Parton laughs victoriously amidst a pile of dazzling gold and jewels. He knows his family used wealth and power to monopolize this intel, ensuring Truno could never buy it himself. He waves the old butler off, terminating the deal by spitting out the title Mr. Traitor. Truno turns away silently, clutching his final glimmer of hope. Old Truno Hilda begs Sans Parton to keep his promise after handing Ryan over. Under the glaring full moon, Sans stands with his black-clad minions, his shadow stretching across the cold ground, radiating menace. Sans Parton flashes a sinister smile, his purple eyes glinting with cunning and disdain. He firmly guarantees the old man's precious young master will be returned to House Sermon without a single scratch. Hoofbeats echo rapidly into the night as Truno departs. Sans glances back, flashing a wicked smile. He already mapped out Ryan's torture plan in his head. A minion steps up, asking if they should just eliminate Ryan to prevent future trouble. Sans Parton casually declines. To him, Ryan is a dead man walking, holding zero threat value to House Parton. Sans gloats that House Sermon definitely realized Ryan is the sinner causing their downfall. He spreads his hand like he wants to crush the night sky, declaring all preparations for his grand conquest are flawless. Sans grabs Ryan by the hair, brutally forcing him to look him in the eye. He waited so long for this moment, just to revel in the pathetic face of a failure currently at his mercy. The full moon continues to shine, illuminating a dark corner of the mansion where Ryan is imprisoned between cold stone walls. A suffocating, gloomy atmosphere dominates the space. A blinding flash cuts through the dark night, marking the start of a new chain of tragedies about to crush House Sermon. Ryan's fate is now more fragile than ever. Ryan slowly regains consciousness, his eyes peeling open heavily in the dim dungeon. He feels his body chained tight, Sans standing right before him. Sans Parton shoves his sinister face close to Ryan's, offering a highly sarcastic greeting to the Sermon brat. He wants to know if Ryan grasps his desperate, miserable situation yet. Suddenly, Ryan's eyes ignite with brilliant emerald mana, despite his body being battered by whips. He glares straight at his enemy with razor-sharp eyes, showing zero fear or hesitation. Ryan's arms are shackled, and he is strung up against the dark dungeon's stone wall. Sans stands before him, laughing maniacally at seeing the sole Sermon heir reduced to such pathetic helplessness. Ryan weakly asks what trick Sans Parton is trying to pull. He replies with an arrogant tone, bragging about successfully kidnapping the noble blood of the illustrious House Sermon. Ryan warns Sans of the catastrophic consequences, only to receive a disdainful scoff in return. Sans dismisses it as a laughable threat coming from a dying man. Sans Parton's victorious smile shows he fully believes he holds his opponent's absolute fate in the palm of his hand. Arrogance bleeds from his every feature. Ryan maintains eerie composure in this dire situation, a cryptic light flashing in his eyes. Everything seems to be playing out exactly as he predicted. Sans brings up Roz, Ryan's older brother, with absolute mockery and malice. He wonders if Roz managed to tell him about the tragic fate awaiting his father and brothers. A sickening thud echoes as blood sprays through the dark dungeon air. Sans resorts to brutal torture to satisfy his sadistic urges and hatred for House Sermon. Sans Parton delivers a devastating kick to Ryan, roaring that he is never allowed to touch House Parton's interests. He demands to know if Ryan understands why he ended up in this filthy, isolated hole. The direct kick sends Ryan flying backward, dark red blood spewing from his mouth onto the dirt. Bone-deep agony renders him speechless, but his willpower remains unshaken. Despite the excruciating beating, one of Ryan's eyes flares with the emerald light of mana silently accumulating inside him. He quietly observes Sans Parton's frenzy like an outsider. Sans Parton screams in Ryan's face that his trusted butler Truno sold him out. He wants Ryan to plunge into ultimate despair, knowing he was betrayed by his most trusted ally just for a scrap of intel about his brothers. Sans spreads his arms proudly before the chained, pathetic teenager. He firmly declares that no one in this world will ever come to save Ryan from this dark dungeon. Sans Parton clenches his fist in front of Ryan, bragging about the upcoming war between the Parton and Sermon families. To him, kidnapping Ryan is just the first stepping stone. Though his face is smeared with blood, Ryan calmly replies that a fool like Sans talks way too much. Ryan flashes a highly provocative smile as green aura begins radiating from beneath his feet. Sans jolts in shock at this bizarre transformation from the child he so deeply despised. Ryan coldly issues a mental command to activate the magic circle. Brilliant blue light erupts from Ryan's body, annihilating the stone dungeon's gloom. Massive magic arrays materialize vividly on the dungeon floor, radiating extreme magical power. The overwhelming energy forces Sans to shield his eyes, unable to process what is happening. Standing at the epicenter of power, Sans panics, feeling magic engulfing his body. Ryan's eyes shine with resolve. He tells himself he has waited for this day for a very long time. Sans Parton stammers in disbelief, utterly overwhelmed by the sight before him. Magic circles constantly spin and lock onto Sans's legs, emitting a screech that tears through the silent air. Under the full moon, eerie blue aura pierces the night from the tower holding Ryan. Inside the dungeon, though still chained, Ryan's aura completely dominates Sans. Sans panics and screams, desperately convincing himself this is just a harmless bluff. He steps closer, mocking Ryan for using cheap tricks to buy a few more seconds of life. Ryan smirks in contempt, reminding Sans he truly is a colossal idiot. Ryan's composure starts terrifying Sans. Cold sweat breaks out on his forehead. Ryan glares at Sans, ordering him to shut his mouth immediately. Suddenly, a blue magic circle constricts around Sans's throat, choking off his words. Sans Parton clutches his throat, his face turning pale as he is rendered entirely mute. He frantically tries to scream, but his voice seems to have vanished completely. Ryan casually explains it's the silence magic array, used to seal mages who rely on incantations. He sarcastically asks what Sans thinks of a mage who can't even chant a spell. Sans Parton's eyes bulge in terror, realizing he is trapped. In sheer desperation, he channels mana into his hands to unleash a chantless magic attack. He intends to counter with Fire Bolt, hoping this surprise strike can turn the tables. But Ryan knows full well chantless magic caps at Circle 3, and Sans can't unleash anything strong enough right now. A purple fireball flares in Sans's hand, and he hurls it straight at his prey. Ryan reads the attack perfectly, casually nodding Sans is using a spell far below his actual level. Sans Parton screams internally that this arrogance will get Ryan killed. The purple fireball blasts straight at Ryan's legs, kicking up a blinding cloud of dust and smoke. Sans smiles viciously, certain that attack will at least cripple one of Ryan's legs. He stares triumphantly into the smoke, waiting to see Ryan collapse pathetically. But no, a blue net-like energy shield materializes, completely blocking the fire's heat. The system notifies Ryan successfully resisted the attack. His eyes remain cold and defiant. Furious, Sans Parton maniacally pours all his remaining mana into casting a stronger third circle spell. Ryan just smirks faintly, stating Sans just wasted his final opportunity. Purple flames roar violently in Sans's hands, ready to detonate a second time. But right before Sans can strike, a shockwave from Ryan completely blasts away his efforts. Sans Parton is horrified to feel the mana flow inside his body being violently shattered. A blue magic circle flares in Ryan's eyes as he coldly ends the fight using the mana break skill. Ryan Sermon casually explains that if the opponent overloads their mana, he shatters it instantly. Sans Parton drops to his knees, clutching his agonizing hand, watching his efforts vaporize helplessly. He grinds his teeth in fury, lips trembling in disbelief that he was so utterly crushed by a child. Ryan swings a short sword fiercely. A brilliant blue arc slices through the air with intimidating force to warn the loser. Sans's eyes widen in shock, breathing heavily as he realizes the massive power gap between him and the Sermon heir. The iron chains instantly shatter under the pressure of Ryan's aura. He casually stands up with glowing magic circles on his hands, forcing Sans to back away in terror. Ryan clenches his fist, turning the chains to dust. He asserts that at his current level, breaking these ordinary shackles takes zero effort. Another glowing magic circle appears next to Sans. Ryan casually reveals he prepared far more than just 2 sealing arrays. Paralysis, blue lightning erupts, engulfing Sans Parton's entire body before he can even react. Sans screams in agony as the high-voltage current incinerates his will to resist. Ryan stands there, flashing the cold smile of someone who calculated everything perfectly. He collapses onto the floor, completely unconscious, while Ryan casually retracts the razor-sharp short sword. Looking down at the defeated enemy, Ryan coldly orders Sans to wake up and face the new reality. He firmly declares that from this second, their positions are completely reversed. The stone dungeon falls into a terrifying silence. Only faint smoke lingers around the flickering torchlight from the guard towers. After a period of unconsciousness, Sans slowly opens his eyes, groaning as a sharp pain shoots down his spine. Ryan Sermon sits casually in a chair, playing with his opponent's knife, sarcastically asking if he is fully awake. Sans is horrified to find himself hanging suspended against the wall, his arms locked tight by heavy iron chains. He thrashes maniacally in vain, but the metal shackles remain entirely immovable. He glares at Ryan, desperately using his last bit of strength to hurl resentful threats at the boy. Seeing he can still speak and is only bound by standard chains, Sans secretly mocks Ryan for being too naive to underestimate a mage like him. He immediately channels mana to cast Wind Slash, hoping this surprise attack will obliterate Ryan instantly. But the moment he activates his mana, a blue lightning bolt shocks Sans, sending bone-deep agony through his body. Ryan Sermon smiles, asking if he truly thought he was that careless. Sans chokes, his body convulsing violently. He cannot understand what is happening when there are no magic arrays anywhere in sight. Ryan steps slowly, his bare feet padding against the cold dungeon floor, radiating menace against his opponent's absolute helplessness. He presses the razor-sharp knife to his own face, casually revealing he carved magic arrays directly into Sans's flesh while he was unconscious. A swift knife slash slices the air toward Sans' Parton, marking the total physical and mental collapse of this arrogant mage. Sans's eyes bulge as blood spatters across his pale, terrified face. Chained tight, Sans's scrawny chest bears glowing red magic circles carved straight into his skin. Ryan asks if he recognizes this forbidden scar-based array technique. Past memories flash. Ryan coldly explains it's an awakening spell, meant to keep him from passing out no matter how severe the pain. An image of Sans licking a blood-stained knife, his eyes filled with corrupt killing intent. Ryan casually recounts using this exact tool to carve into a 12-year-old child's body. Sans sobs in despair, unable to comprehend how a powerless wretch like Ryan can wield this dark magic. Ryan smirks cryptically. He notes that the records claiming he lacks mana are dead wrong. It's all thanks to his past life memories and experience in Idian. In a memory from 3 months ago, Maid Colin frantically searched everywhere. Ryan was hiding right beside her using level 1 invisibility. Ryan holds an energy sphere and a glowing magic panel. He asserts learning new skills is effortless if you understand divine circuits. He explains each skill has a unique mana structure etched deep into the soul. Channeling mana into the right circuit instantly activates the skill. Ryan stands majestic atop a battlefield of corpses and weapons. He states only those at the master level like him can see through these divine circuits. Ryan stands between Sena and Alejandro. He confidently declares he doesn't need to bury his head in books or grind endlessly like normal people. With sufficient mana and minimum qualifications, he can acquire any skill he desires. Thanks to invisibility, Ryan frequently snuck out of the Sermon mansion without a single guard noticing. Standing in a room flooded with deep blue magic circles, Ryan had prepared elaborate traps in advance, waiting for Sans' Parton to fall in. The past Ryan writhes in a pool of blood. He laughs mockingly because Sans fell into the trap far too easily. Ryan admits he used the exact same pain-amplifying magic circle Sans intended for him to retaliate. Holding the menacing, blood-stained knife, Ryan advises Sans to worry about his own life instead of asking questions. From afar, Sans' agonizing screams echo across the fiery sunset sky outside the tower. Chained to the wall, Sans cries and begs Ryan to stop the unbearable pain. Ryan retracts the knife, his clothes stained with blood. He says he will spare him for today. Sans can't believe his ears, stammering to express gratitude for this amnesty. But as Ryan turns away, Sans frantically calls after him, as if terrified of something imminent. Sans screams, telling Ryan to run because Parton men will arrive here soon. He thinks he is doing the boy a favor to buy peace. Ryan stops, looking back with a cryptic smile. He asks in return, "They arrive in a week, right?" It turns out, Ryan eavesdropped on Sans's conversation with his subordinates. He dismissed them and scheduled them to return in a week so he could enjoy torturing Ryan alone. Sans freezes, panting heavily as he realizes Ryan was never unconscious like he thought. The boy knew the entire plan from the start. Ryan steps closer, face to face with Sans. He asks if, given his personality, Sans would actually be kind enough to warn him if he hadn't already known. Sans grinds his teeth, blood dripping down his face. Ryan states bluntly that Sans would have kept his mouth shut and only begged for his own pathetic life. Ryan sees right through the impending arrivals. Aik and the elite operatives known as House Parton's fingers. Sans wails miserably, swearing he is telling the truth to salvage his last shred of hope. But Ryan suddenly delivers a brutal strike, sending Sans's head whipping to the side amidst a spray of blood. The magic circle on Sans's chest flares red again, resuming its torment on his body. Sans's agonizing scream tears through the air again. Ryan coldly tells him to scream all he wants, because he promised not to lay another finger on him today. Sans screams Ryan's name in ultimate agony, tears and blood mixing on his disfigured face. Ryan stands amidst the blue magic arrays engulfing the room. He tells himself it's time to prepare for the upcoming VIP guest. Ryan looks forward with absolute resolve. The upcoming enemies are House Parton's most elite. He cannot afford to be careless. Zero mistakes allowed. The glowing red text affirms his iron will. 1 week later, sunset falls over the ancient tower, where everything is set and ready. A group wearing House Parton's blue cloaks arrives at the dungeon entrance. One asks to confirm this is the right place. Sans's subordinate reports a week has passed since the young master kidnapped Ryan here with no news, so they had to beg Aik for help. Aik emerges behind a metal mask, his single glowing purple eye radiating menace. He coldly asks if anyone else has approached this place in the past week. The operatives report they monitored the route meticulously and detected zero anomalies. Aik clicks his tongue in annoyance. He worries that if Sans got too carried away with his sick torture games and caused an accident, it would be extremely troublesome. Aik grips his scepter, reiterating the Patriarch's supreme order to bring the sermon brat back alive. Ignoring his subordinates' protests, Aik declares he will go inside alone to resolve the issue. He activates his magic, ready to breach the door. Aik's glowing purple eye shows absolute ruthlessness. As House Parton's finger, he prioritizes the Patriarch's orders above all else, even over his own bloodline. A massive explosion obliterates the dungeon door under Aik's magic. Dust and debris blast into the air. The subordinates try to follow, but Aik stops them immediately. He repeats his decision to go in alone. He glares at the soldiers with disdain, calling them dead weight and ordering them to wait outside. Aik walks slowly but authoritatively down the dark dungeon corridor, his shadow stretching long under the flickering torches. His armored footsteps echo harshly on the cold stone stairs. Suddenly, Aik stops, sensing something is wrong. He feels a menacing aura, yet bizarrely detects zero mana. Instantly, a barrage of blue magic circles flares beneath Aik's feet, signaling a triggered trap. He gasps in shock. Magical lightning bolts fire relentlessly from the trap, surrounding Aik from all sides as he tries to back away. Aik reacts swiftly, swinging his scepter to conjure a blazing purple shield to block the storm of attacks. Aik grits his teeth, realizing the situation is far worse than anticipated. He is certain something happened to Sans Parton. He casts trap detection. He observes the intricately placed magic circles on the ground and realizes they are all tightly linked together. Aik is astounded by the trapper's technique. He concludes the culprit must possess profound knowledge of magic arrays and extreme skill. The corridors are rigged with lethal magic traps. Aik wonders if this is House Sermon's doing or a third party's interference. Unwilling to waste time, Aik deploys double shield, creating 2 solid layers of protection around his body. The entire dungeon glows in chaos. Whoever it is, Aik has no intention of dancing to these petty traps. He charges forward aggressively, ignoring the mana blast slamming into his shield. His eyes glare straight ahead. He swears to make whoever dares oppose House Parton's finger regret it bitterly. Aik finally reaches the end of the corridor leading to the main holding cell. Fog and darkness veil the iron door. On the cold stone floor, puddles of fresh blood are still seeping, painting a horrifying scene. In the center, Sans Parton is strung up by chains, his head hanging down, his entire body soaked in blood. The magic circles on his chest still glow eerily. Aik instantly shatters the chains with a blast of mana, freeing the miserable young master. Purple magic illuminates the room. He rushes to Sans in a panic, continuously calling out to the young master. Even a great mage is shaken by this sight. Aik frantically asks what the hell happened. He stares at Sans's mangled body in disbelief. Sans gasps soundlessly. Blood from his mouth and forehead continues streaming down his deathly pale face. He looks like a walking corpse. Sans Parton's bloodied face features eyes vacant with pain and absolute terror. He can only produce disjointed noises. Aik checks the chaotic mana flow inside Sans's body. He confirms it is definitely the Parton heir's mana, but it is being violently hijacked by something else. In the corner, Aik spots Ryan Sermon tightly bound and kneeling on the floor, looking equally pathetic. He wonders what transpired here. Sans struggles to gesture for Aik to use healing potions immediately, urging they must flee this hellhole at once. His arm trembles as he raises it. Aik observes the surrounding magic circles and deduces the enemy hasn't shown themselves yet, which is extremely dangerous. He feels the presence of traps still lying in wait. He looks at Ryan, wondering why the enemy didn't take the boy. Aik deduces rescuing the sermon brat isn't the opponent's only objective. Aik glares at Ryan contemptuously, assuming the boy is just bait. However, he cannot abandon his primary mission. He starts calculating his next move. Sans abruptly points at Ryan, his voice trembling with hatred. He screams that the brat is the one who did all this to him. Sans's face contorts in rage and agony at the name of his tormentor from the past week. Blood and tears spill as he screams Ryan's name. Aik turns to Ryan with absolute suspicion and fury. "That Ryan sermon brat!" he roars, refusing to believe a powerless child is capable of this. Aik decides to act. He announces he will first cast a 7th circle binding spell on Ryan to ensure no one else can take the boy. Purple magic begins enveloping the child. He mutters the incantation, demanding the power to strip away willpower and disintegrate both body and mind. The light from his scepter grows blindingly intense. Suddenly, Ryan drops from the ceiling with a mocking smile. "You're being too cautious," he remarks, startling Aik. The tied-up figure was merely an illusion. Before Aik can react, Ryan detonates a massive fireball right in his face. A deafening explosion and blinding flames engulf the great mage. A concussive blast erupts right in front of Aik. He is horrified to realize this was an incredibly elaborate illusion spell aimed specifically at him. The violent mana backlash makes Aik vomit a massive mouthful of blood. He is terrified by the horrific recoil of having a 7th circle great spell forcibly aborted mid-cast. Ryan emerges from the shadows, mocking Aik. He asks how painful the mana backflow feels, even though a great mage recovers quickly. Dozens of Ryan's illusionary clones surround the room. He advises Aik that he should have killed him the second he sensed something wrong upon entering. Aik roars in fury, "Pathetic," and activates a devastatingly powerful purple magic circle. He cannot accept being humiliated so easily by a child. He declares that using illusions to challenge a master of illusions like him is a fatal mistake. His purple eye burns menacingly behind the mask. With a thunderous shout, "Deceivers, begone!" Aik casts Dispel Illusion to clear the battlefield. A colossal mana wave sweeps through the entire room, obliterating all of Ryan's clones instantly and shaking the dungeon itself. Amidst the thick dust, Ryan charges at terrifying speed, leaving brilliant blue trails in his wake. He nimbly dodges an attack from Aik, gripping a short sword tight, ready for the decisive counterstrike. Two pairs of eyes clash in close quarters. Ryan's razor-sharp, calculating emerald eyes, and Aik's purple eye brimming with absolute fury. Ryan launches himself into the air, prepping a devastating strike aimed straight at the defending great mage's head. Aik grits his teeth, his eyes bloodshot with rage. He cannot believe the sermon brat's arrogance is vast enough to fight him in melee. A brutal strike sends blood splattering across the floor. Ryan takes a direct hit and is blasted backward by overwhelming mana. He crashes onto the cold stone floor, blood pouring from his wounds. Aik sarcastically asks if Ryan actually thought a tiny stab to his waist was enough to win. Fire magic erupts violently, cloaking Aik's body. He coldly states that even if he melts half of Ryan's face off, the Parton Patriarch will forgive him for the greater good. Seeing Ryan motionless, Aik believes the illusion trick was his final card. He smugly assumes if the boy had a stronger move, he would have used it already. He arrogantly wonders how much Ryan underestimated House Parton's finger. However, Aik suddenly freezes, detecting a bizarre mana fluctuation. A short sword lies abandoned on the floor, radiating a grotesque blue mana that screeches in the confined space. The purple eye behind Aik's mask shrinks in terror, as he realizes he walked into a flawless, inescapable trap. Thwack, a razor-sharp blade pierces straight through Aik's neck from behind unexpectedly, fresh blood spraying heavily over his gray armor. Aik chokes, unable to speak, producing only broken gurgles as the cold blade buries deep into his flesh. Blood spatters across the attacker's face. Aik stares in horror at his attacker, sans Parton. But the young master now bears glowing emerald eyes and the exact same arrogant smirk as Ryan. Ryan, inhabiting Sans's body, reveals the soul exchange magic. He explains Sans's true soul is currently trapped in his own paralyzed body lying on the floor. He points to the complex blood magic circle on Sans's chest, explaining it wasn't just for torture, but served a far higher purpose. The true spell hidden within is soul exchange to hijack another's body. Ryan lies motionless on the floor, while his soul has completely taken over Sans Parton's vessel. Aik drops to his knees, mana leaking from his scepter erratically and weakly. He coughs up blood endlessly as life drains from his broken body. A blinding magical explosion erupts, swallowing the dying great mage in boundless despair. Ake's metal mask shatters and rolls across the stone floor, a testament to the humiliating defeat of one of House Parton's strongest enforcers. Ryan, in the guise of Sans Parton, stands silently amidst the ruined room. He looks down at Ake's cooling corpse with an expressionless face. The emerald light from the blood sacrifice on his chest flares one last time, marking the flawless success of Ryan's insane master plan. He smiles calculatingly. Everything played out precisely as he envisioned in his head over the past week. Ryan kneels beside Ake's corpse, starting to gather necessities and prep for the next act before the audience of subordinates outside. He pulls out a vial of pale blue liquid radiating cold air, shimmering magically under the dungeon's dim torchlight. Without hesitation, Ryan pours the entire vial over his head, ignoring the liquid mixing with the still bleeding wounds on Sans's body. System windows spam congratulatory notifications. The pain resistance skill is unlocked, and its level is skyrocketing. Despite the excruciating pain forcing him to clutch his head, Ryan pushes through. He needs genuine wounds inflicted by Ake on Sans's body to perfect the act. Sweat and blood mingle on Sans's face under Ryan's soul's control, creating a scene both tragic and macabre. "I did it!" Ryan roars proudly in Sans's form. He actually defeated a 7th Circle Great Mage, an impossible feat for anyone else. Ryan stands frozen, staring at the system panel that just popped up. The blood sacrifice tattoos on his chest still emit a faint warmth after the intense battle. Chimes echo continuously in the silent dungeon. He completed the quest, and his character level spiked incredibly. Ryan frowns slightly in surprise. He didn't expect the system to register this as an official quest. Leveling up after defeating a strong foe makes sense, but the quest completion is a massive surprise. On the glowing virtual screen in the darkness, the name Ryan Sermon appears alongside an impressive level 15, a monumental leap in power. Ryan's soul radiates a blue aura around Sans's body as he checks his stats. Jumping from level 2 straight to 15 is a worthy reward for crushing Great Mage A. A brilliant red magic circle blazes violently, signaling a major transformation or the next critical magical action in his plan. Still in Sans's body, Ryan grabs Ake by the leg and coldly drags the dead Great Mage's corpse across the freezing stone floor. A long, dark red blood trail marks the corridor, recording the downfall of a man who was once the almighty finger of House Parton. Ryan places Ake's corpse on a stone altar to prep for the next step. He knows this action's outcome dictates how fast he can accelerate his revenge plan. He clasps his hands, focusing his mana to activate a special magic circuit. Ryan silently confirms that circuits are engraved into the soul, not merely the mortal flesh. Thanks to that principle, Ryan can control and wield his true mana even while occupying Sans Parton's body. His eyes burn with fierce willpower. He begins channeling pure mana into the meticulously prepped circuit with extreme caution. The emerald power of Ryan's soul detonates, merging with the blazing gold magic circles swirling around Sans's body in a breathtaking spectacle. However, the price for this is a level drop. Ryan accepts sacrificing precious experience to achieve a far greater goal. System notifications flood in. His level dropped by 5, but the system's hidden supplementary requirements have been fully met. A mysterious black assassin emblem manifests. Ryan successfully unlocked the ultra-rare hidden class, the Shadow. The detailed panel for the Shadow explains it can only be unlocked if the player hits specific agility and mana thresholds before reaching a certain milestone. Ryan stares at the system panel with razor-sharp calculation. Despite his initial success, he carefully weighs how to maximize the efficiency of his remaining level. Lightning rips across the night sky above the ancient tower. Ryan tells himself he still has a chance, exactly 2 more attempts to finalize the plan. Blue lightning begins surging wildly inside the confined dungeon space. In Sans Parton's body, Ryan stands inside the glowing magic circle. He clasps his hands, concentrating all his mana, letting azure flames engulf his body. System panels pop up endlessly. Ryan fulfilled the supplementary conditions and officially unlocked the hidden class, Hand of the Grim Reaper, a high-tier branch of Necromancer. The magic circle at his feet shines blindingly. Class cards hover beside it. Ryan sighs in relief that at least one of his 2 risky gambles succeeded. The class card depicts a Reaper wielding a scythe with absolute authority. This hidden class demands 20 mana and an assassin primary class, a goal Ryan originally barely hoped to achieve. But by eliminating Ake, Ryan's level spiked beyond expectations. Staring at the enemy's corpse on the floor, he considers using his surplus levels for a hyper-ambitious third advancement. A massive phantom wielding a lantern looms behind Ryan. He decides to unlock the next legendary hidden class, Ghost. Normally, Ghost only appears when someone possesses both the Assassin and Necromancer classes, paired with the Awakened Sense stat. This is the Apex class that made Adian the strongest being in the world. The fusion of assassination and soul manipulation creates an unstoppable synergy. With a blood-smeared face, Ryan smiles confidently. He knows the key to a successful advancement is soul scale, something he possesses far beyond normal limits. Ryan's sermon is sweating bullets. He wonders if this advancement fails, his life is effectively over right here. But Ryan's eyes harden, his fists clenched with determination. If he succeeds, his future moves will be smoother than ever. Ryan starts channeling. Emerald mana explodes around him. There is no turning back now. He has to go all out. A piercing system chime rings out. He just lost a massive 5 levels, a brutal price for new power. Ryan's pupils shrink as he senses something wrong. Danger warnings flash relentlessly before his eyes. The system warns his soul has sustained critical damage. If he doesn't recover immediately, his soul will disintegrate. A heart-wrenching scream echoes through the dark room. Ryan feels as if thousands of shards are piercing his body. Blood starts pouring from his eyes and mouth. He feels his entire body being ripped to shreds. Is a high-tier advancement truly impossible? In his delirium, a familiar silhouette appears. Those eyes, staring at him in horror. Ryan sees his past self, weak and pathetic, collapsing before a lethal beam of light. Traumatic memories flood back like a nightmare. Images of plague-masked men torturing him in a pool of blood. Sans Parton appears with a sickening smile, grabbing the bloody hair of the past Ryan. Then he sees Alejandro. The old man looks down with complex eyes, cold yet harboring a trace of regret. An image of Alejandro hugging Ryan's small body tightly, both drenched in blood under a dense arrow rain. Sena appears amidst fire and smoke. The blue mask covers her face but fails to hide her deep sorrow. Sena smiles. An agonizing smile, tears and red blood trailing down her cheeks. Ryan grits his teeth hard, fresh blood splatters. He cannot fall here, not after everything he endured. He roars in fury, determined to unlock the Ghost class at all costs, even if it means sacrificing his soul. Mana erupts violently. Blinding white light blankets the entire surrounding space. Purple and blue energy streams intertwine, swirling violently as if to swallow everything into the void. A golden card materializes amidst the brilliant halo, signaling the fated moment has arrived. The system confirms Ryan's soul is strong enough to contain the new power. The hidden class activation process begins. Ryan pants, touching his face in awe. He prays silently that his efforts will be justly rewarded. The padlock icon on the card trembles, then slowly opens, revealing the secret within. Congratulations! Ryan officially unlocked Phantom, the advanced tier of Ghost. The Phantom card looks majestic, featuring a dark entity in a tattered cloak radiating chilling, killing intent. Ryan mutters in shock, his eyes brimming with astonishment at the entirely unexpected result. This is a class that even in Adian, he had never heard of or seen before. The silhouette of the Phantom entity looms behind Ryan, like a loyal shadow ready to protect its master. As the upgraded version of Ghost, this class undeniably possesses the absurdly overpowered traits Ryan needs. Ryan smirks victoriously. After so much agony, he finally holds what he wanted. Now it's time to execute the original plan. He turns to the corpse on the altar, his eyes as cold as ice. That is the body of the 7th Circle Great Mage, the perfect material for his plan's next phase. Eliminating the Great Mage was part of Ryan's calculation all along. He begins utilizing Ghost's passive skill to amplify his summoning magic. The corpse begins emitting deep purple lightning. Its lifeless eyes suddenly glow with eerie light. Ryan hopes this material can withstand the massive mana output. If successful, he will save a tremendous amount of time. The system announces skill activation. Create Lick, a high-tier spell that normally only max-level players dare dream of. The magic array beneath the corpse spins rapidly. Thick, dark purple mana billows engulfing the mage's body. The corpse's eyes snap wide open, radiating blinding white light. A terrifying entity is slowly awakening. However, a red notification pops up, stating Lick creation failed. Instead, the system automatically pivots to creating a special undead. Ryan's eyes widen in shock at the sudden twist. This mutation is completely outside his predictions. From the dark purple smoke, a massive, authoritative figure takes shape, radiating suffocating pressure. Ryan's sermon in Sans's body stands frozen before the surging dark aura. The fateful moment has finally arrived. From the purple smoke, the special undead emerges majestically. Pitch-black armor and glowing purple eyes tear through the night. The tiny Ryan stands before the colossal presence of the Phantom. The monster's pressure makes the air feel solid. A system prompt confirms the successful summon. Ryan smirks slightly, a triumphant and calculating smile. The system asks if he wants to name this creation. Such a capable assistant certainly deserves a fitting name. Boom, a terrifying explosion shreds the tower in the dead of night. The escape plan officially launches with a spectacular fireworks display. House Parton's blue-cloaked soldiers panic at the horrifying sight. The ground shakes, dust blinds everyone. A commander roars in panic, clueless as to what the hell is happening to his base. They are frantic about young Master Sans Parton's safety. Thick smoke and fire completely block their vision. Amidst the ruins, bare footsteps glide steadily. A silhouette gradually emerges from the purple smoke and flames. Ryan steps out, carrying his own battered, stunt-double corpse over his shoulder. He is executing a flawless act in front of the soldiers. The soldiers cry out in shock. "Young Master!" Ryan glares furiously, playing the role of someone who just narrowly escaped death. He screams right in their faces, blaming everything on Ache. Everything is going exactly as he orchestrated. Ryan roars in fury about the betrayal of one of House Parton's fingers. His face looks more terrifying than ever under the firelight. He approaches a horse, coldly declaring he is taking Ryan's sermon out of here immediately. "Buy me time," Ryan orders, then spurs the horse into a gallop, leaving the bewildered soldiers in the battlefield. A smile creeps onto Ryan's lips as he glances back. He promises massive rewards if they hold off the enemy. Rapid hoofbeats tear through the quiet night. Ryan and his precious prey vanish into the deep forest. Under the silver moon, a lone horse shadows the dirt trail. That is the last time the soldiers will see their young master. The scene shifts to a highly tense military camp. Black flags flutter in the night wind. Inside the tent, Lord Firas House Parton's 7th Circle Mage reviews a report. Subordinates kneel at his feet. Lord Firas, with brilliant red hair, flashes a cruel and arrogant smile. He appears to be calculating something utterly horrific. He smirks upon hearing there are no traces of Ache in the ruins. Firas grits his teeth, crushing the report in his trembling, furious hand. Things are slipping out of his control. His eyes flash with cold, killing intent. He cannot allow any mistake to tarnish the family's reputation. He asks the subordinate if anyone else knows what happened that night. The man's answer will dictate his life. The trembling soldier confirms only they know. He has no idea an assassin is already standing right behind him. The assassin's bloodshot eye glints, awaiting the new master's order. Slash, blood spatters against the curtain. Firas stands there, coldly ordering the assassin to execute the witness. He looks at the corpse at his feet with disdain. Sans's disappearance is a major issue, but being exposed is far worse. Firas steps over pools of fresh blood, muttering about the disaster if House Parton's kidnapping of the sermon head is exposed. Suddenly he freezes, sensing massive pressure approaching him. "Halt," a guard shouts, terror lacing his voice as a figure advances. A powerful footstep advances. The guard feels a crushing weight on his mind. Alejandro enters, exuding the majesty of a veteran commander. Every step he takes radiates bone-chilling cold. He exhales white mist, his razor-sharp eyes glaring at Lord Firas. His presence freezes the entire camp. Under the full moon, Alejandro stands like a god of war, ready to level anything in his path. "What will you do if I step inside?" he asks with a deep, incredibly powerful voice. Alejandro's face brims with fury. He threatens to slaughter every single one of them if he doesn't get a satisfactory answer. He accuses House Parton of inciting this war and demands the immediate return of young Master Ryan. Alejandro points directly at Firas, exposing his cowardly plot at this border. He refuses to ignore the bizarre underground bunker the Sermon Legion just uncovered. All evidence points against House Parton. Lord Firas loudly asserts House Parton has zero knowledge of the Sermon Head's whereabouts. Alejandro stands opposite him, his aged face etched with suspicion and rage. Firas adds that even their young master Sans Parton has mysteriously vanished. Alejandro roars for him to shut up. The tension between the two factions is like a snapping string. Lord Firas frowns. His glowing red eyes betray his impatience with the old commander's overwhelming pressure. White aura radiates from Alejandro, shaking the surrounding space. He declares he won't sit by if anyone dares obstruct this investigation. Alejandro's breath turns into freezing mist in the night. His eyes blaze menacingly. In response, Lord Firas holds his ground, purple magic engulfing him, prepping for an unavoidable clash. In another corner of the camp, the sermon butler anxiously watches the thick smoke and fire. He just prays an all-out war doesn't detonate right now. Sena walks through the blazing fire. Her elegant outfit and bluebird mask make her look like a proud goddess of war. The subordinate trembles facing Sena's killing intent. She glares at him and calls it betrayal. Sena's hand bursts into flames. She warns that if not for the young master's message, this subordinate would already be ashes. Sena's eyes are razor-sharp through the mask. She orders him to keep his mouth shut until they find the young master. The terrified butler repeats the young master's words about leaving a trail for them to follow. Sena leads the search through the gloomy, frost-covered forest. She firmly believes the young master couldn't vanish without a trace. Sena explains only how Sermon's sacred earth method can detect this specific type of mana. She begins casting. Green mana flutters around her, resonating with Ryan's soul lingering in the background. A brilliant green energy sphere manifests, spinning in Sena's palm, starting to guide the way. Found it! Sena's eyes light up, seeing the magic symbol clearly materialize in midair. Mystical blue light engulfs an ancient tree deep in the forest, illuminating the dark area. The accompanying butler drops his jaw in horror at the macabre scene before him. A pair of bare feet hangs suspended in midair, bound by ropes reeking of demonic presence. It is Sans Parton, chained to the tree with magical shackles, surrounded by a terrifying green aura. Sans is completely unconscious, his head hanging, exuding the pathetic aura of a kidnapped victim. On his robe, words written in blood clearly state, "I am the kidnapper, please punish me." At the tree's base, a letter pinned under a rock radiates a green glow, as if waiting for the right person to retrieve it. Sena stares at this meticulously staged scene. She understands this is part of Ryan's plan. She picks up the letter, while the subordinate frantically questions Ryan's whereabouts. Sena opens the letter. The image of Ryan's victorious smirk surfaces in her mind. He was certain only Sena would find this letter. Ryan's letter warns that House Parton's patriarch, an 8th Circle mage, might notice if he used soul exchange immediately. Sena stands in stunned silence, reading the fate-deciding words. Ryan knows full well this incident could ignite a catastrophic war. He analyzes that House Sermon currently lacks the resources to sustain a prolonged war with House Parton. Therefore, Ryan opted for the third choice, a bold move before his soul temporarily vanishes. The letter is the final explanation, so Sena can understand and coordinate with his upcoming moves. What does the letter say? The butler asks curiously, but Sena already uses magic fire to incinerate the paper in her hand. Sena coldly orders the team back to Sermon territory to report to Commander Alejandro. The paper turns to ash, erasing all traces of the secret plan Ryan left exclusively for her. A falcon spreads its wings, flying toward the blazing red sunset. Sena knows a colossal workload awaits. The lone bird glides through the sunset-dyed clouds, signaling a turbulent new beginning. In a bustling town, a young man's footsteps echo rapidly on the cobblestone street. It is Lyon, a plainly dressed young man darting through the streets under the pale morning sun. A friendly baker waves at Lyon, informing him the Grand Elder is looking for him at the guild. Sena smiles faintly under her mask. She is absolutely certain of what she must do now. Lyon turns back, flashing a bright, confident smile at the baker before continuing his journey. Lyon's eyes narrow slightly, gleaming with sharp calculation. His left eye blazes with emerald light, harboring a smoldering, mystical power. Lyon smirks cryptically, his face exuding unnatural confidence in the bright sunlight. Deep blue mana leaks from the corner of his eye, proving his true identity is far from ordinary. An authoritative declaration of a legendary title echoes. The Dragon of Drea. The secret behind the Sermon heir's power is seemingly just beginning to unfold. 3 months have passed since tragedy struck House Sermon. In the capital, Paynton, everything seems to have returned to its usual frantic pace. Citizens on the streets still gossip endlessly about the shocking clash between the Parton and Sermon families. They are curious about the kingdom's intervention to settle things. Amidst the crowd, a nimble blue-haired boy walks briskly. No one suspects this is Ryan Sermon hiding under the alias Lyon. Whispers still reach his ears, like how House Sermon ultimately accepted a massive compensation payout from their rival. But the biggest mystery remains the whereabouts of the last Sermon heir. Did the traitor kidnap him, or is he still out there? The reputation of a once illustrious great noble family is now just post-dinner gossip. Leaving the noisy market, the boy turns into a deserted alley leading to a normal-looking building bearing a terrifying emblem. This is the Paynton branch of the Martin Assassin Guild. Inside, the atmosphere is dead quiet and somewhat suffocating. A woman sits with her legs crossed, exuding absolute authority. She touches her lips lightly, seemingly weighing something quite important. This is Sapphire, a rank 2 assassin and the branch manager. Her face shows blatant boredom with outdated intel. She turns to converse with the muscular man drinking beside her about the execution of head butler Troon. A heavy thud of a glass hitting the table. Duns, a veteran assassin, listens to the execution news. The execution was carried out directly by Swordmaster Alejandro via decapitation. Sapphire looks pensive upon hearing it. She sweats slightly thinking about a legendary swordmaster executing someone personally. The sermon incident appears far more serious than it looks. Right then, the door swings open, interrupting their conversation. Lion walks in. After 3 months of training, he has completely transformed. He casually greets Duns, who holds a wine glass, watching him with intrigue. Sapphire motions for him to sit at the table to commence today's main business. Sapphire stands up, producing a letter sealed with red wax, her demeanor far more serious than usual. She asks if he knows what this is. It is an item that will determine his future in the guild. The letter confirms Lion's recommendation to become an official member of the prestigious Martin Assassin Guild. Lion can't suppress a confident smirk. Everything is proceeding exactly as he calculated. Sapphire reminds him that despite the recommendation, he must still pass a final practical exam. She places the letter on the table. Despite her words, she knows full well how terrifying this kid's abilities are. Martin is one of the 4 major assassin guilds, and Sapphire knows Lion is no ordinary child. Lion looks at the letter, his emerald eyes sparkling with resolve. He has waited a long time for this moment. Sapphire sighs internally. This branch just birthed the youngest genius in a century. Lion maintains his fake humility, stating he is still far beneath a rank 2 assassin like the branch manager. Sapphire takes a sip of tea, her eyes never leaving the boy. She remarks he looks far less grumpy than the first day they met. She smiles faintly. Memories of that fateful night rush back into her mind. It was a torrential rainy night 2 months ago. The streets were deserted and freezing. The Martin Guild door burst open, welcoming an uninvited guest in the dead of night. A small, hooded figure walked in, radiating a bizarre pressure that caught even veteran assassins' attention. To Sapphire's shock, the child slammed a heavy bag of gold onto the table, demanding an immediate assassination. Beneath the hood, the boy's eyes burned with a mystical green light in the pitch-black night. Sapphire broke a sweat at this special guest's sheer audacity and massive fortune. The child said he knew this assassin guild accepts any request as long as the client pays in full. Back in the present, Lion calmly picks up the recommendation letter, preparing for the next crucial step. Sapphire admits she treats him well not just for the money, but because he is an incredibly unique client. She feels she might never encounter a more bizarre and insane request in her life, because the request that ragged child made wasn't to kill anyone else, but rather, assassinate me. Sapphire tells him to stop spouting nonsense. She will verify this letter herself later. She maintains her usual coldness, seemingly wanting to keep her distance from this mysterious boy. Lion stands silently waiting, seemingly used to the branch manager's aloof attitude. He merely observes quietly, preparing for the next phase of his plan. Lion bows and tells her to call him when the exam prep is complete. Sapphire merely grunts in agreement without even looking up at him once. The door clicks shut dryly behind the boy. Lion leaves, abandoning a silent, mysterious atmosphere in the office. Sapphire stands silently looking at the closed door. She appears lost in her own thoughts about Lion's true strength. From the shadows, a grotesque entity wreathed in purple smoke manifests. It is Carl. He asks if Sapphire accepted the child into the guild just based on a feeling. Sapphire denies it instantly, but admits Lion is an absolute monster. Carl stands in the shadows, his face hidden behind a vibrant red mask, listening to her every word. That child completed assassin training, which normally takes 5 to 10 years, in just a single month. Lion's meteoric rise leaves even the most seasoned veteran stunned. Sapphire turns and asks Carl if the background check on Lion is finished. Her eyes are razor-sharp, refusing to miss any minor detail. Carl begins reporting on Lion's file. An orphan, blue hair, green eyes, raised by an anonymous master until he vanished abruptly. A background so simple it's suspicious. According to the intel, Lion joined Martin purely to track down that master. Most notably, he ordered his own assassination to prove his superior skills. Carl confirms all info regarding Lion's skills and training history is absolutely verified. He stands tall in the purple smoke, radiating unpredictable danger. He further emphasizes Lion's words are entirely true. To be certain, Carl personally scouted where the boy used to live. Under the bright moonlight, Carl tracked down the exact location Lion claimed to live with his master. An owl perched on a dead branch, watching him infiltrate the deep forest. It was a simple, isolated cabin in the woods. Carl confirms there are recent traces of human habitation, exactly as Lion described. Sapphire rests her chin on her hand, lost in thought. Something still bothers her. She touches her chest, trying to piece everything together. She looks straight at Carl and poses a bold theory. Is there any chance Lion is the missing heir of House Sermon? Her eyes burn with curiosity. Carl remains silent, his purple eyes glowing under the red mask. He seems to be carefully weighing the branch manager's suspicion. On one hand, Ryan Sermon, a missing high noble heir. On the other, Lion, a mysterious boy who just appeared with innate talent. The timeline coincidence makes Sapphire uneasy. She wonders if this is truly a coincidence or an earth-shattering conspiracy unfolding right under her nose. Her rank 2 assassin instincts scream caution. However, Carl immediately dismisses the idea, asserting the probability of them being the same person is near zero. He refuses to believe a cripple could turn into a genius overnight. In everyone's memory based on the investigation, Ryan Sermon was a total failure since birth. He possessed zero talent in magic, swordsmanship, or physical strength, and was constantly berated and despised. Carl firmly states an incompetent fool like the missing heir could never possess a terrifying aptitude like Lion. Hearing this, Sapphire sighs, temporarily shelving her doubts. Carl offers to continue monitoring if she wishes, but Sapphire tells him to forget it since he is too busy for useless tasks. An eerie green soul silently slips through the room's cracks unnoticed. Lion left a spy to monitor their every move. In his private room, Lion sits on the bed, his eyes blazing with the emerald light of necromancy. He is using the eyes and ears skill to eavesdrop on their conversation from afar. He smirks, thinking Sapphire's intuition is genuinely sharp. She almost touched the truth. He is confident in his disguise, but knows he cannot be careless. A minor soul manifests right on his hand. Lion realizes a necromancer's skills are incredibly convenient for espionage and gathering classified intel. As long as souls exist in an area, he can gather all info through their eyes and ears. On the other side, Sapphire and Carl are completely unaware they are being stalked by a green soul right next to them. Lion waves his hand lightly. A brilliant golden status panel materializes in midair. He needs to check his progression after his long period of hiding. The info panel displays the name Ryan Sermon with the Hand of the Grim Reaper class at level 13. Strength, agility, and magic stats have all skyrocketed. His eyes gleam with satisfaction. The levels lost during the brutal class advancement have all returned, rendering him even stronger than before. Lion feels investing mana into body control was an absolutely worthy move. He can alter his appearance flawlessly. It helps him reach a level where he can even fool the shape-sensing skills of a veteran rank 2 assassin like Sapphire. He focuses on the deep blue mana swirling in his hand. He remembers a new soul entity gradually forming during Ryan's intense concentration inside Sans's body. A small silhouette appeared amidst the mesmerizing fusion of blue and purple energy. He decided to name this creature for easier control. A small undead with white hair and a menacing skull mask emerged from the energy vortex. Ryan named it Cornac, a loyal new companion for his revenge journey. Cornac looks cold but radiates magical pressure that cannot be underestimated. Cornac stands tall, ready to receive orders from its master. Its presence marks a new milestone in Ryan's necromancy capabilities. He is surprised to see Cornac possesses its own stat and skill panel, including Fire Bolt and Soul Shield. It is practically a real player with independent combat capabilities. This is a growth-type undead, an extremely rare and powerful trait. Lion's eyes burn with excitement at discovering this limitless potential. Cornac's majestic image appears in Ryan's soul attribute panel. Could this exceptional growth capacity be the innate talent of the legendary Phantom class? Ryan places his hand on Cornac's forehead. Emerald magic circuits glow vividly on its skin. He decides to spend time deeply researching this complex magic circuit structure to optimize his own power. Lion stares intently at Cornac, where emerald magic circuits glow brilliantly. He is trying to analyze the complex structure of these energy pathways. His eyes flash with mysterious blue light and mesmerizing concentric rings. Ryan seems to have seen through the true nature of the new power surging in Cornac's body. A brilliant quest notification panel pops up in midair with the title, Avenger. Both the quest description and rewards remain massive, mysterious question marks waiting to be decoded. Ryan muses that hidden quests often appear in the most unexpected places on the Drea continent. He wonders if the completion condition lies right inside these glowing magic circuits. Cornac, the minor soul with white hair and a bird mask, appears before Lion. He realizes this creature is the miraculous fusion between the Hand of the Grim Reaper and Phantom classes. Ryan stares at this small entity, thinking it is currently just a burden consuming mana and sharing experience. However, he firmly believes Kornak will one day become an indispensable asset. Night falls, blanketing the city as a bright full moon hangs high in the sky. The silence feels like preparation for an imminent, dramatic event. Atop a towering spire, a silhouette sits quietly, observing the moonlit city. This is where the official assassin selection begins. Lion stands on the rooftop, his blue hair fluttering in the cold night wind. His eyes are resolute, projecting iron determination to pass the upcoming grueling exam. Duns, the towering instructor wearing a blue headband, approaches and asks what Lion is thinking. He is directly supervising this high-risk final exam. Lion smiles confidently, stating he wants to pass the exam and dreams of one day managing a Martin branch. Duns laughs heartily at the young man's massive ambition. After laughing, Duns's face turns unusually stern under the moonlight. He knows the path of a true assassin always exacts a toll in blood and sweat. Tonight, 3 candidates will participate in the final rank 5 assassin selection. However, Duns asserts only the absolute best will officially join the guild. Duns looks straight at the candidates, declaring the extreme brutality of the practical exam. He extends a hand as if emphasizing their fate lies in their own hands. Pala, a blonde youth with a determined and somewhat arrogant face. He seems fully prepared to showcase all his skills. Rip is already in a state of high concentration, her deep blue eyes burning with the thirst for victory. She refuses to miss this singular chance to change her life. The 3 candidates stand in a line before Duns, each bearing a different expression. Lion stands in the center, looking calmer and more unpredictable than anyone else in the group. Ryan's shadow within the alias Lion manifests with a cryptic smile under the mystical blue fog. He knows the real game to prove himself begins now. The bright moon in the sky stands as a silent witness to this moment. Duns loudly announces the start of the assassin exam. Duns paces slowly on the rooftop, demanding the candidates provide intel they personally gathered about the target. Espionage is always step 1 of any successful assassination. Rip provides the first intel. The target is a successful merchant named Alok, 47 years old. He runs a large shop and lives a rather extravagant life. Alok is always protected by 3 elite mercenaries to ensure his safety. They include 2 powerful bronze-rank warriors and a formidable silver-rank mage. Paula adds a rumor that the merchant recently took a young, beautiful mistress in secret. This seems like a crucial detail in the target's daily routine. Every night, he secretly visits this mistress's bedroom for pleasure. That is also when he orders his mercenaries to stand far outside to ensure absolute privacy. Duns nods in approval. The trainees gathered highly valuable intel starting from a simple name. Accurately assessing the defense situation is a survival skill for an assassin. However, Paula wonders how they can be certain Alok will visit his mistress tonight of all nights. His eyes betray anxiety and doubt about the action plan. Duns counters with a challenging question, asking if these rookies are actually capable of taking down all the guards in direct combat. The sarcastic question leaves both hesitating. He explains that's exactly why Martin always prioritizes intel gathering to find the prey's vulnerability. Finally, he turns to look at young Lion, who has been standing silently this whole time. Duns directly calls Lion's name, demanding he share what he discovered about Merchant Alok. All eyes immediately snap to the mysterious boy. Lion just smirks arrogantly, his emerald eyes blazing, and asks Duns if he really needs to share what he knows with his competitors. Absolute tension blankets the space as Paula and Rip's eyes burn with rage at Lion's attitude. Meanwhile, Duns maintains a calm demeanor watching this standoff. Lion coldly declares that completing the mission together doesn't mean they will all become guild members. Since only one person passes, he sees 0 reason to share the intel he worked hard to gather. Rip and Paula shout in anger, asserting they are teammates and must support each other on this mission. The 2 youths still seem to carry overly naive ideals into the world of shadows. Lion smirks contemptuously at their concept of teammates, asserting that throughout their grueling training, they were never taught altruism or camaraderie. He completely dismisses the fake bond Rip and Paula are trying to uphold. Duns smiles in satisfaction. He seems to have found the truest answer he expected from a real assassin. Lion's words perfectly align with Martin's survival philosophy. He confirms this is a cutthroat individual exam, where utilizing all personal capabilities is entirely valid. The most important thing is applying what was learned to achieve the ultimate goal at all costs. Duns looks straight into Lion's eyes, emphasizing the core of a professional assassin is knowing how to use or eliminate others when necessary to complete the objective. This kid grasped that ruthless survival rule early on. Paula and Rip stand frozen, faces pale and sweating profusely at the harsh truth Duns just outlined. They bitterly realize Lion has left them far behind in both skill and mindset. Duns raises his hand high under the bright moon, signaling the official start of the exam. He permits them to act freely and assassinate target Alok using whatever method they deem most effective. 3 black shadows instantly launch off the rooftop, vanishing into the city's pitch-black night. Duns stands quietly watching Lion's silhouette, musing that he is truly a fascinating prospect for the Assassin Guild's future. Duns recalls a past moment. He crossed his arms, looking completely skeptical. He couldn't believe a client demanded the guild assassinate a child. Sapphire stood in the center of the hall, loudly announcing the mission. The guild mobilized rank 3 and rank 4 assassins, with a 3-day limit right here in Paynton. Lion stood there, quietly listening to the terms. If the guild failed, he would officially become a special class trainee of this branch. Duns scoffed, declaring whoever made this request was definitely insane. Duns confidently told Lion to go hide. He asserted it would only take him 10 minutes to catch the boy. But reality was harsh. The entire group of assassins failed miserably. Whispers echoed throughout the guild. Everyone was terrified of Lion's devious traps and tricks. Keeping her promise, Sapphire officially accepted Lion into the guild to begin training. Duns and Sapphire are reviewing the promotion exam. The target this time is extremely difficult, handpicked by the branch manager herself. Back in the present, Lion is darting nimbly across the rooftops. He feels he is witnessing a historic moment for the guild. The full moon hangs suspended over the quiet city of Paynton. In another corner, Paula executes the loudest break-in possible by smashing through a window. He lands confidently, having disabled all alarm magic and mechanical traps. But Paula's smile vanishes when he sees a squad of mercenaries waiting for him. There are far more of them than he anticipated. Rip remains glued to the wall, watching everything from the shadows. Shouts of intruder echo loudly. She silently observes the mercenaries, frantically chasing after Paula. Rip criticizes Paula for being too sloppy, but at least it allows her to act more easily. Honestly, if Paula hadn't been spotted, she would have found a way to use him as bait anyway. Target Alok is running for his life in a panic. He desperately seeks a path to his main wife's bedroom for shelter. The moment Alok enters, the guards outside assume strict defensive positions. Hurried bare footsteps, and a woman's frustrated screams echo from inside. Alok's wife is absolutely furious. She cannot believe her husband brought assassins to their home. Alok desperately tries to explain, insisting this room is the safest place in the mansion. Watching from above, Rip notes the internal defense line is even tighter than the exterior. She senses at least 5 guards prowling right nearby. Rip draws her dagger, ready for a direct assault. Suddenly, Alok screams in terror, begging his wife to put that thing down because it's too dangerous. Rip freezes, realizing something very wrong is happening. Alok's wife is gripping a knife, tears streaming down her face. She screams she has endured enough. Alok raises his hands in terror to stop her, still babbling about needing capital for his business. But those words only infuriate her more. He stole her family's money to lavish on his mistress. The wife swings the knife, stabbing Alok relentlessly. Blood splatters all over the room. Rip stands paralyzed, witnessing the entire horrifying scene unfold right before her eyes. Alok's wife stands there, trembling in a pool of blood after venting all her rage. The bloody knife drops to the floor. At her feet, blood is splattered everywhere. As the madness fades, she stares blankly at her hands, unable to believe what just happened. A heart-wrenching scream tears through the air as she realizes her husband is dead. The guards immediately bang on the door, demanding to know what happened. Rip is still in shock, never expecting the target to be slaughtered by his own wife. She suddenly wonders where on earth Lion has been all this time without showing his face. The bright moon still shines over Paynton, as if nothing ever happened. Rip returns to the rendezvous point on the city wall looking disappointed, declaring this mission a failure. Rip freezes, sweat beading on her forehead as she mentions the name Alok. Standing on the wall, she tells Duns and Lion the target was killed by his own wife, not an assassin. Lion stands next to Duns, looking perfectly calm as if he already knew everything. Rip frowns in suspicion, feeling something is off. She wonders how Lion managed to return here before her, unsure if he even entered the mansion at all. Right then, Paula stumbles in, his arm covered in blood, panting heavily after a fight. Duns welcomes Paula back. He breathlessly recounts a bizarre scene where the mercenaries suddenly started slaughtering each other, allowing him a lucky escape through the chaos. Paula relives the horrifying moment of struggling to escape amidst the guards' civil war. Duns claps his hands to conclude the exam and delivers a shocking announcement. The assassination mission did not fail. He asserts Lion is the one who completed the request flawlessly. The brilliant sunrise behind the city wall sharply contrasts with the shocked faces of those present. Rip loudly objects, arguing that a target dying by his wife's hands clearly cannot count as an assassin's success. Dunn smiles cryptically, revealing that entire scenario was orchestrated by Lion. He points at Lion, who just executed an impossible assassination without directly lifting a finger. The truth is unveiled, showing Lion as a puppeteer, using deep blue magic to force Alok's wife to kill her own husband. Paula and Rip stand stunned, terror etched on their faces as they realize Lion's ruthlessness and overwhelming power. Duns concludes that Lion borrowed the legal wife's hands to execute Merchant Alok. He places a hand on the teenager's shoulder, demanding a clear explanation of what transpired. Lion looks slightly annoyed, silently wondering if he really needs to explain something so obvious. However, he looks straight into Duns's eyes and agrees to detail his entire plan. His two teammates, Paula and Rip, stand paralyzed, speechless at his confidence. Lion asserts the crux lay in the fractured relationship between Alok and his wife. Amidst the red sunset on the wall, Duns remains astounded that the boy weaponized the target's own family drama. He casually explains that uncovering the identity of a famous merchant like Alok was effortless. Intel about Alok's wine distribution or his new mistress fell right into Lion's hands. He emphasizes that while the other two were scrambling to figure out how to assassinate, he simply executed his pre-written plan. Rip and Paula's faces look as if they just took a bucket of ice water in the dead of winter. Paula angrily demands to know how he finished his investigation before the exam even started, but Lion replies cryptically. It turns out, he approached merchants to gather rumors on anyone with a bad reputation worthy of a blacklist. Since he finished training a whole month early, he used that time to draft extermination plans for all potential targets. Paula and Rip completely break down, realizing this kid memorized the whole textbook before walking into the exam room. During that process, Lion locked onto Kelly, a wife harboring deep-seated hatred. He secretly approached Kelly when she was cornered, suggesting how she could hire the Assassin Guild. Hearing this, all three adults widen their eyes, never expecting a 12-year-old boy to orchestrate something so sophisticated. Through his story, we see a scumbag Alok, using his wife's money to sugar daddy his mistress while neglecting Kelly. Lion fabricated a scenario. If Kelly hired extra guards, Alok would be terrified enough to return home. The plan forced Alok to run for his life in terror, seeking out what he deemed the safest place, his wife's room. Lion's eyes clearly display the cold calculation of someone holding absolute control over the game. Kelly would use that opportunity to pin everything on the mistress and some fabricated secret lover. He adds this would force Alok to wake up and remain loyal to his wife. Drowning in alcohol and despair, Kelly easily fell into the 12-year-old's trap. Lion smiles, stating if things had stopped there, it would have perfectly matched her original wish. But right before the actual assassination began, he threw his final trump card to push the conflict to its boiling point. He revealed that all the money Alok lavished on his mistress was embezzled directly from Kelly's family. Duns breaks a sweat, realizing that from the very beginning they were all just pawns in the boy's hand. Rip shudders in terror, seeing how Lion manipulated this entire exam flawlessly. Paula has a rather warped thought, wondering if he accidentally became the wife's accomplice. Dunn still has a question. Kelly is just a normal woman. How could she act so ruthlessly as to stab her husband to death? Lion smirks, confessing he helped her action along just a little bit. He secretly spiked Alok's wine, and the mercenaries drinking water with an alchemical poison. Rip blankly asks what kind of poison it was, while Lion grins victoriously because everything detonated right on schedule. This poison clouds judgment and makes people easily erupt into uncontrollable fits of rage. Paula suddenly remembers the mercenaries turning on each other, finally understanding the true cause. He casually states that while he didn't teach them teamwork, he also didn't want to see guild members die. Paula blushes in shame and helplessness before the monster standing right in front of him. Rip fares no better, standing perfectly still, looking at Lion with a deeply complex expression. Duns crosses his arms and summarizes, everything went exactly according to script. Kelly, in a fit of madness, murdered her husband. Under the sunset, Duns officially congratulates Lion for passing the exam with a tactic that required zero swordplay. Lion adds that the Martin Guild won't just receive the official reward, but also a massive bonus payment from Kelly. Duns can only utter a shocked huh. Although Kelly suddenly becoming a murderer was a variable, the fact that assassins infiltrated the mansion is absolute truth. The most crucial part is, only their group knows the truth that Alok died by his wife's hand, not an assassin's blade. From Kelly's perspective, she will desperately want to cover up the truth and frame this as a professional hit by assassins, even if it costs a fortune. The illusion of her terror is vividly depicted in every stroke. Dunn stares at Lion, unable to suppress a shudder at the teenager's chilling thoroughness. He mutters, You. Paula looks at Lion completely differently now. He realizes the class gap between them is astronomically vast. Sweating, Paula thinks maybe from now on he should only aim for second place when competing with him. As an assassin, Duns cannot deny Lion's handling of the situation is incredibly admirable. However, behind that praise lies an invisible dread of the monster growing before him. Duns orders Paula and Rip to return to the guild first, while he needs to speak with Lion privately. Both teammates look surprised and a bit confused. Obeying orders, Paula and Rip jump off the wall, their silhouettes flickering across the rooftops under the sunset. Duns and Lion remain, the atmosphere suddenly growing dead silent. Duns stands with arms crossed, pondering for a long time before asking the boy about his awareness regarding his actions. The setting sun casts long shadows on the stone ground. With a serious expression, Duns points straight at Lion, questioning if he understands the horrific guilt left behind by turning a normal woman into a husband killer. Witnessing the teenager's apathy hits Duns like a thunderbolt. Lion maintains a calm smile, reminding him that this assassin guild was built to breed killers. He seems entirely unfazed by the moral dilemma Duns just raised. Duns glares at him, emphasizing the guild breeds assassins, not heartless monsters. Tension crackles like electricity through their dialogue. Lion recounts that he initially thought Kelly was just a normal woman too, until he discovered the real reason behind Alok constantly taking new concubines. His eyes reflect the sharpness of an intel hunter. Haunting images of mistresses murdered by Kelly flash in Lion's memory. Every woman Alok brought to the mansion met a bloody end at the hands of his jealous wife. Beyond the wine business, Alok was tied to drugs, loan sharking, and gambling, ruining countless lives. Duns listens, his face grim as he processes the target's depravity. Kelly never dirtied her own hands. She used her family's power to eliminate those women silently. Alok knew exactly what was happening, but kept bringing more women home like a sick challenge, ignoring the deaths covered up as disappearances. Those disappearances were smoothed over flawlessly thanks to Kelly's family influence, leaving the victims' families searching in desperate vain. Lion casually reports these brutal truths like a standard briefing. Duns listens in silence, realizing these horrific truths were merely intel fragments Lion gathered during his investigation. Though this is just an exam at its core, it remains an official assassination request. Lion spreads his arms, asserting that whether Kelly wants her husband dead or not, the Assassin Guild only gets paid in full if Alok is truly wiped off the earth. He fires back a razor-sharp question. Does a target deserve to die, or do client circumstances matter to a professional assassin? The answer seems crystal clear in his mind. To Lion, if you inject morality into assassination, is it still killing? He looks at Duns, his face half hidden in shadows. Lion emphasizes their job is taking money to take lives, so why obsess over reasons and methods? Duns stares straight into the boy's eyes, a complex surge of emotion welling up as he hears cold-blooded philosophy from a child. Sweat drips down his forehead at Lion's terrifying resolve. Lion flashes a demonic smile with one glowing red eye, affirming Kelly never said she didn't want to kill her husband herself. He argues his team finished the job their own way, highly efficient and flawless, even if the result is Kelly enduring lifelong trauma for that act. The fact remains that the assassin's intervention directly caused Alok's death. Duns asks bitterly if the boy means to say an assassin requires no conscience. His face shows clear tension and exhaustion after this grueling mental duel. Standing on the windy wall under the evening sun, Lion coldly declares, "If you want to retain your humanity, build enough power to change everything from the roots up. Even if you cling desperately to a conscience while executing requests, once you operate under an Assassin Guild's banner, nothing changes the fundamental reality." Lion speaks with absolute confidence. Duns stands silently watching the teenager's back, realizing the boy's words, however brutal, carry the bitter truth of the underworld. The scene shifts to the Martin Guild mansion under a clear blue sky. A new day begins with monumental events about to unfold inside this fortified building. Lion has changed into a neat outfit, his eyes sharp as usual as he stands in the guild's grand hall. He is ready to officially confirm his identity here. Sapphire hands him his certificate with a radiant smile, warmly congratulating him for surviving the grueling assassin exam. The system panel pops up. Quest completed. From this second on, Lion is officially a Martin member and a rank 5 assassin. Blue mana cloaks his body, marking his growth. More notifications appear, confirming a level up and a perfectly executed side quest. Lion smiles slightly, seeing his hard work justly rewarded. His teammates and Hall Master Duns are all present to witness this moment. Paula claps proudly, while Duns remains stern but his eyes have softened somewhat. The system notifies Lion gained respect from Rip and Paula, alongside massive expectations from Duns. Accompanying this is a huge influx of bonus experience points. Sapphire continues explaining that as a rank 5 assassin, he can now take official requests from Martin and apply for promotion if qualified. She smiles, assuming a rookie like him surely has no immediate promotion plans. Lion abruptly cuts her off with a shocking question about the payout for the Alok request. He raises one finger, leaving the red-haired woman stunned for several seconds. He casually lists the promotion conditions. Complete a request worth 30 gold or more, or 10 rank 5 missions, or secure a recommendation from the Hall Master. The red-haired woman stammers, "What?" seeing him recite the rules flawlessly. Lion's razor-sharp gaze makes her sweat profusely. He asks again to confirm if those are the exact promotion conditions. The surrounding assassins start whispering frantically, wondering what the hell this kid plans to do right after joining the guild. Anxious and skeptical faces fill the hall. Lion calmly looks straight into the red-haired woman's eyes and repeats his question. What is the total bounty for the Alok mission? Sapphire narrows her eyes at him, mentally reevaluating this terrifying child's true strength and ambition. This rookie is already aiming for a goal far beyond his current rank. Sapphire freezes when Lion brings up the 10 gold upfront payment she accepted. The boy seems to have absolute intel on all the guild's underground transactions. He adds that another 10 gold will be paid upon mission completion. Rip and Paula sweat nervously beside him, shocked by their teammates' audacity. The truth about the 10 gold from Kelly to cover up Alok's death is exposed right in the middle of the hall. Dunn stands behind them, arms crossed, his face dead serious. Dunn silently gasps at Lion's intel-gathering capabilities. His eyes reflect pure shock as he realizes this child is infinitely more complex than he looks. Despite it just being an exam, Lion smiles cryptically, covering his mouth with his hand. He is calculating a further move that forces everyone present to stay on high alert. Rip, Paula, and the other assassins look in disbelief, their faces paling at what they just heard. The hall's atmosphere instantly turns thick with tension. Lion asserts he is the one who secured the request, completed it, and obtained the massive bonus payment. He looks straight at Sapphire and demands to know about the first promotion condition, completing a request over 30 gold. The woman's face shows clear confusion mixed with rage at being cornered by a rookie. Sapphire grits her teeth, growling the boy's name. Exploding fury shatters her initial calm facade. As a rank 5 assassin, Lion loudly demands a promotion to rank 4. He raises his hand authoritatively, ignoring the terrified stares all around him. The entire hall erupts at Lion's insanely arrogant move. Sapphire freezes, locking eyes with the boy furiously. Deadly purple aura radiates from Sapphire as she glares at Lion, branding him an arrogant fool. Lion maintains his smirk, utterly unfazed by her oppressive aura. Brilliant system light envelops him like protective armor. Sapphire admits his performance was impressive, but claims he is disrespecting the organization. The two stand face to face in the hall, eyes locking like blades. She emphasizes every organization has unique rules and policies that cannot be casually broken. In the assassin underworld, rank 4 is the milestone proving true competence. It is the result of honed skills, accumulated experience, and peer recognition, not just a few lucky missions. Sapphire points right in Lion's face, asserting his action insults everyone who bled to reach that rank. Her rage seems to have hit its absolute peak. Though his cited promotion conditions seem technically valid, acting this recklessly only invites backlash from everyone. Her sharp eyes scrutinize every microreaction from the teenager. She takes a deep breath, trying to restrain herself, and offers to pretend she didn't hear that promotion demand, assuming he is just exhausted after his first mission. Lion stands perfectly still, his eyes brimming with killing intent. Lion replies with a decisive no, asserting he will not retract his promotion request. His eyes grow colder and more resolute than ever. Sapphire screams in rage, telling him if he wants to survive here, he needs to learn to read the room. Right then, Dunn steps up looking thoughtful and calls out, "Branch manager." He gestures, wanting to speak as the supervisor of the recent exam. The red-haired woman turns away in frustration while the other assassins keep murmuring. Dunn stands there, his massive silhouette dominating the conversation. The woman reluctantly lets Dunn speak. He firmly asserts he believes Lion is absolutely qualified to take the rank 4 promotion exam right now. Dunn places a hand on Lion's shoulder, stating he doesn't think the boy meant any disrespect. But most importantly, he still hasn't showcased the most vital skill in the recent exam. Sapphire narrows her eyes, questioning the vital thing Duns just mentioned. Lion smiles with his eyes closed, looking incredibly relaxed as if he anticipated this completely. An image of an assassin flickering through the dark night appears. It is the pure physical capability of an assassin, Duns explains, the ability to act without plans or complex tactics, relying purely on speed and raw power. Duns admits Lion assassinated flawlessly using brilliant tactics, but entirely lack the physical display unique to their profession. Rip and Paula appear in a comical scene, faces distorted as they recall Lion's effortless tactic. They seem to feel a bit cheated regarding their own physical exertions. Duns further explains the Rank 4 exam is impossible to pass without true physical prowess. The Martin Guild mansion looks peaceful under the sun. The other assassins agree with Duns, noting that even when Lion outplayed them in the previous chase, he primarily used traps. They view this as a chance to measure his true strength or teach him a painful lesson. Sapphire rests her chin in thought, finally spitting out a highly reluctant, "Fine." She officially allows him to take the promotion exam, but warns that Rank 4 is where even veteran assassins must wager their lives. Sapphire smirks, asking, "Are you ready?" Her eyes are razor-sharp, seemingly eager to witness Lion's upcoming performance. A firm handshake between Lion and Sapphire seals the official commitment for the new challenge. Lion responds with a wildly confident, "Yes." His eyes blaze with radiant emerald light, proving an unshakable will. Night falls, the Martin Guild mansion sparkles with light from its windows. A dead silence blankets the area where new upheavals will soon occur. Inside a tavern, Duns slams his beer mug onto the table with a loud clack. He mutters about young Lion's knack for constantly making everyone anxious. The group sits around a round wooden table with a savory roasted chicken. Duns remarks the boy's recent move was entirely too rash and reckless. Rip and Paula sit in silence, looking deep in thought. Paula assumes Lion must definitely have some master plan to act like that. Lion's face remains perfectly casual as he confirms he already has a plan. A pretty maid brings a tray of milk and drinks to their table with a bright smile. Duns continues explaining the Rank 4 exam won't happen for another month or two, as it takes time to prep the specific requirements and suitable targets. Duns offers to personally train Lion until the promotion exam. However, the teenager rejects the offer, stating he plans to rest completely for the time being. Duns is astounded by the boy's answer, skeptically questioning his intent to rest right before a critical exam. Lion takes a massive gulp of beer, white foam sticking to his lips, as he asks if an official member is allowed to leave the branch's territory. Duns admits that is entirely legal under Martin Guild rules. Lion confirms he will return before the exam and will actively visit other guild branches to get updates on the test. Duns stares at Lion searchingly, pressing him on whether leaving is truly his actual plan right now. He still seems to be struggling to decode this child's highly secretive moves. Lion wipes the beer foam off his lip with a finger, flashing a cryptic smile. His emerald eyes gleam with sharpness and confidence, proving he has his own calculations for the upcoming journey. Duns raises his beer mug, banishing all serious thoughts, and rallies everyone to drink up and enjoy tonight. The four of them gather around the round wooden table, soaking in the lively atmosphere and a rare moment of relaxation. Under the deep blue night sky, the tavern stands tall with sparkling light spilling from its windows. A voice echoes from inside, warning Duns not to force Lion to drink too much since he's still a kid.